Hello, hello. Thank you for the pet. Good afternoon. Oh my. Oh my. It still feels so weird to be starting in like the early afternoon. But since I have a very full day planned today, we're gonna jump right in. Are we all doing well? Welcome back to Please Be Happy. Please be happy, or please be happy with a big B in the font. Congratulations on the first. Last time we finished chapter 2. Barely. The game is quite long. Not gonna lie, the game is quite long. But last time we finished chapter 2. So we're gonna try and see how far we can get in chapter 3 tonight. We got a job. She still can't read, but she now has a job that has to do with books, which normally features a lot of reading, but for some reason, apparently she's doing it. She's just memorizing the shapes of letters, and it's like, she would probably learn how to read quite fast if someone finally started teaching her, because I feel very bad. She's like, oh, I work in the library. People ask me for help. People ask me for books. I need to move books back to their respective shelves. I just can't read. I don't know. Please, someone teach this fox girl to read. I'm begging. Yeah, where's my save?
Finish this one.
Yeah, calm down. This is where we stopped. Yeah, this is where we stopped. Chapter 3, Day 1. I found out through the achievements for this game that chapter 3 is apparently the last one on a common route, and then you have either Aspen's or Juliet's route, and then the separate endings. So we're gonna do all of them. We're gonna get started with Aspen, and we're gonna do like both of the endings for each character in a row, because it's just a few choices. Like I just need to like make some saves at the correct choices, and then we can just skip through stuff until we see the new scenes, I think. So let's get started.
Thanks. You too.
The kind old man takes his books under his arm and shuffles out of the library. A whoosh of cool air passing over me as the door opens and shuts. My microphone is too far away. Jesus. Wow. We go. With no one else waiting to be helped, I glance around a dozen or so people milling about before plopping myself down into the cushion that Juliet set up for me behind the desk. Who knew that working would be such hard work? Yeah, who would have guessed? These past few weeks since I started helping out at the library have been a bit of a blur. There's always so much to do. At least most of it's pretty easy, like straightening out furniture or putting things away when they get left out. I don't know what the big deal is. I think it looks better when it's a little messy, but it's what Juliet asked me to do, so I do it. Talking to patrons, Aspen taught me that word, it's getting easier as well. The first few times someone came up to me for help, I was so nervous I could barely speak. There's so much to remember and still so much to learn. I still don't like talking to people in general, but it feels easier now. I get a little anxious when I see someone walking up to the counter, but it's not too bad. Of course, everyone who comes up thinks it's my first day there. Even though I've started to recognize some of the regulars, they never recognize me. Aspen's the only one who comes by every day. What I didn't expect was that the hardest part would be checking out books to people. There's a sheet of paper with a bunch of little boxes in them, and I'm supposed to write the names of each person in the books they're taking. Since I have to copy the letters by hand each time, it takes me a while. If someone has a lot of books or ones with really long titles, then it takes me even longer. Sometimes people get a little impatient, but I'm going as fast as I can. Either way, it makes the day go by faster. I wouldn't really call it fun, but I don't hate it either. Having a bit of money that I earned rather than stole feels surprisingly good too. At least I don't have to worry about someone trying to take it back. I hear the front door open again and look up to greet a new person, like Juliet taught me. It turns out to be a familiar face, my nerves settling a little at the sight of her.
Hey, Miho.
Hi!
Hi, Aspen.
Oops, sometimes I forget I'm not supposed to be loud here.
Hi, Aspen.
I say it again, but quieter. She comes up to the desk and sets down a couple books that she just checked out a few days ago.
Whoa, done already?
She's probably a very fast reader.
One of them I simply couldn't put down because I had to know how the story ends.
Ah.
I was worried it would have a sad conclusion, but the ghost girl becomes real and gets to stay with her girlfriend, and they all live happily ever after.
That's great. Actually, let me check something real quick.
The other book was unreadable, unfortunately. I won't be trying that author again.
There we go.
That's too bad. Should I tell Julia we can get rid of this one?
Well, it's not that terrible. I'm sure someone out there could enjoy it. Just
Oh, that's how I usually am with books as well. It's like, sometimes it's just not for me. That doesn't mean it's a bad story. It's also one of the reasons why I can never rate things with a very, low rating. Like, for some reason, be it a game or be it a book or whatever, I tend to go, on a scale of, if you have from 1 to 5, I usually give things a 3 if I manage to finish them. Because I managed to finish them. There's always something good about them to be found. It's like, I thought you didn't enjoy this. Yeah, but it had good parts. Like, I would give Raging Loop a 3 out of 5, for example. I literally just, went through some of my games I played recently to once again check out whether I gave them, a little review thingy or whatever. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give Raging Loop a 3. I managed to finish it. It wasn't bad, but it certainly wasn't enjoyable by the end anymore, so...
If you say so.
I do try to not force myself to, get through things if they're just not enjoyable anymore. Because it's always a little fight. It's the whole, I spent money on it already. I want to get my money's worth, but it's just not enjoyable. It's like, will I really be happy after forcing myself to spend, 20 plus hours on something? Probably not, but I spent money on it. Thank you for the pad. That's why I struggled so much whether I wanted to try and continue Ni no Kuni or not. I already spent money on it. Granted, I bought it sometime when it was on sale, but... Seems to me like if Aspen doesn't like a book, then the book must be really, really bad. Maybe I'll ask Juliet about it later anyway. For now though, I start copying the titles down onto the returns sheet while Aspen goes off to find new books. She comes back right as I'm finishing up with a small stack in her hands.
You find books as fast as you finish them.
If only. I knew exactly what I was looking for this time.
I should finally get around. Just when games that you get paid to play. Galaxy Brain. I should actually finally get to my local library and check out what they have. Maybe they have some interesting stuff. I have not actually. For how much I love books, I have not been to a library in years. She hands me the pile and I begin writing the names down. I can feel her watching me as my hand makes each slow line.
Say, Miho.
Will you finally ask me whether you can teach me how to read? I have to finish the letter I'm working on before I can pay attention to Aspen.
Yeah? Have you,
She wrings her hands, looking like she's not sure how to ask a question. Aspen seems to think a lot before she speaks, so I've learned that sometimes it's easier to just make her spit it out.
Just say it. I don't mind.
Sure enough, her eyes widen, but she stops fidgeting.
have you ever considered learning to
Yeah!
read and write? It would probably save you, quite a bit of time.
It would be a great idea, I think. I look down at the mess of scribbles on the paper in front of me. Even though I wrote them, they don't mean anything to me. Juliet never seems to have an issue though, so it's good enough for me.
Not really. I've gotten by fine without it so far.
You've never considered learning how to read? I don't know how to read either.
Oh, come on. You can't keep using that excuse for everything. You've been here for more than a month now.
Well...
She does have a point there. I told myself so many times that I was going to stop letting my past define me, but still, reading and writing? It would be useful, it's true. With so many letters though, it seems like a lot of work. And I'm already doing a lot of work as it is.
I don't even know how to start doing that.
I'd be happy to help you, and I'm sure
Yeah.
Kira would too. She'd be delighted if you picked it up.
Yeah! A usually quiet voice starts to raise, only adding to my doubts.
I'll think about it, I guess.
I think it would help.
No, I won't take no for an answer.
Ooh.
I'll do some research when I get home and bring some materials later. We can make a lesson plan and a schedule and...
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't I get any say in this?
You can say yes.
You didn't say no, and that's enough for me.
Thank you for the bat.
Oh, but that isn't what I came here to talk to you about.
Aren't you here to get
Hope you're
books?
doing well. You too. I am well. Hope you're doing well as well. Well. I'm hungry.
Right, that too. But anyway...
But not hungry enough to actually make food, so I'm like, Aspen reaches into her purse and pulls out a slightly crumpled flyer, which she hands to me. Looking at the glossy cover, it's covered in pictures of little vases and statues and other old-looking things.
There's an exhibition at Te Papa about Korean history and culture for a limited time only.
Oh, you think we can find some news about, like, something about our past? That you might be interested in seeing it.
An exhibit at your dad?
No, it's our biggest museum. Te Papa is one of the most interesting places in Wellington, perhaps even New Zealand as a whole.
Te Papa.
Enter for free, so that isn't a concern. Look, there's even a map of how to get there on the back.
After I flip the flyer over, she points to a map of Wellington that's very similar to the one I used on my first day here.
This is the Bell House, so you just go up this road, turn here, then here.
I nod as she explains, but it isn't really necessary. I may not be able to read, but I can at least use a map.
Anyway, it's only open when I'm at work, so I won't be able to join you.
If only she could read the street signs. Yeah.
But I imagine you might appreciate having some time to
I think she
yourself,
can
too.
get through the city just fine. With just recognizing the buildings and landmarks and stuff. Without knowing the street signs. I know how to get through this city, like where I need to go. I could not tell you a single street name. It's like every time someone asks me, hey, where can I park my car when I go to visit you? I'm like, oh, you can park it near this building. They're like, okay, could you also tell me the street? Oh, I don't fucking know what the street name is. But you can park near this building. And how do I get there? Oh, you go here, here, and here. What streets are those? I don't fucking know. Using a map without reading, you can do that very well. I mean, yeah. They could, oh, you think they could get her a phone again? She could use something like a map thingy. As long as it shows where she is in relation to the place she wants to. Ah, but she couldn't type in where she wants to go. Never mind. You know your hometown neighborhood street name by heart? Your grandpa used to walk me to kindergarten teaching me about the town. Aww. Yeah, like, I know where to go, but I could not tell you what any names are. It's been a long time since I've really had a moment to myself. Other than when I go to bed, I'm always around Aspen or Juliet or the patrons at the library. It's another big change in me. I'm noticing them more and more these days.
I'll check it out. Thanks. Maybe they'll have something that can help me find my person.
Aspen smiles, but it's a thin smile, like she's once again holding back from saying something. This time, however, she doesn't give me a chance to make her say it.
Perhaps, yes. Right, well, I need to get back to work. My break will be over soon. I just wanted to pick these up so I have something to read during any downtime at my shift.
Aww.
I'll see you this evening after I look up some reading resources. Tell Juliet I said hello.
I originally wanted to read some stuff today as well. Like my to be read pile is... It's not a pile anymore, it's several towers. And I am scared of them finally toppling over.
Will do.
I need to read stuff before I buy new books. I keep telling myself that no more buying new books and until I've read at least half of this. Like, because I know I will not be able to read all of them before buying new stuff, but I can't even get to half of them. Because I'll always go, oh, but this is a special edition of a book. Oh, but this is a manga I've been really looking forward to. Oh, you know, 500 different excuses just for me to once again spend money on books that I don't necessarily need. I know very well. I know my own faults very well, but I sure am not good at trying to actually do something against it. With a smile, Aspen blows a kiss, then quickly spins around and heads out the door, leaving me standing about with the fly in my hands. Without any patrons waiting around, I take a closer look at some of the artifacts on the pages. Most are cracked and worn with age, but still have a little color to them. A couple have writing on them that I can tell is a different language from the one I've been getting used to copying here. In a way, they seem kind of familiar. Not just familiar, but nostalgic. Like they're related to a memory that's just out of reach. I don't know if it'll bring me any answers, but maybe there'll be something interesting to see.
Hiya, I got these to check out, please.
Okay. I quickly tucked the pamphlet into one of my pockets, turning to greet a young boy eagerly waiting at the counter with several books to check out.
You got it.
Play voice VN and read book on the side. Oh no! No, we're not gonna do that. It's already bad enough when I just do my Duolingo lesson on the side while the game is playing. It's like, I lift the first book off the stack and slowly begin my process. Maybe Aspen's lessons won't be so bad after all. Yeah, no, listen, it's gonna be great once you can read and write. It's gonna make this job easier, for sure. Closing time finally comes around, the patrons slowly trickling out. Some of them linger for a while, making their final selections before bringing them up to the counter. Fortunately, Juliet's here to help me, or it would take me all night to get through the line of people waiting.
Thank you very much, Miss Callahan. We'll see you next time. Oh, Dottie. Glad to see you're still reading Pullman. Only one left to go in the series. Bye-bye, Abdul. Bye-bye, Jamar.
In the time it takes me to finish writing down one's person checkouts, Juliet can get through 5. She even knows everyone by name as well as their reading habits. That always impresses me. How does she keep track of them all? We finally managed to get through everyone, a sigh of relief escaping as the last patron heads out.
Oh, thank you.
My ears prick up at the sound of Aspen's voice as the patron holds the door open for her.
Sorry, we're closed.
Haha. Aspen hesitates for a moment as she walks up to the desk, but then she laughs.
You almost had me for a moment.
I collapse into my cushion while Juliet puts everything away under the desk.
Excellent work today, Miho.
Thank
You're getting better and better.
Thank you.
Am I? It doesn't really feel like it.
It can be hard to notice your own progress sometimes, but I promise it's there.
And it's only going to get better. Look what I brought.
She rubs her knuckles against a pile of thin books she brought with her. There's also a small bag that rattles when she moves it.
Are those?
Yes, they're the phonic books I said I'd bring by.
Phonics? Why, Miho, have you decided to learn to read?
Kinda.
Well, Aspen decided for me, but I guess so.
I pick up one of the books from Aspen's pile. The words on it are big and written in a very simple style, and so are the pictures that go along with it. I spend enough time in the library now to recognize that these kinds of books are meant for little kids. But I guess that's what I need, isn't it? It's embarrassing, but maybe I can just use that as motivation to learn faster. And if I end up hating it, I can just quit. Like always, I have the option of running away from something I don't like. Still holding the book, I look up to see Juliet and Aspen both watching me, waiting to see what I'll say. I take a deep breath and then smile.
So, how do I start?
Hooked on phonics. Both of them break into a grin as well.
I have just the thing. Come with me.
Oh my god, I don't actually remember how I learned how do I say this? I learned how to read in school. It's like the small thing that you just learned, you know, before school, like, oh, recognizing your own name, like the few letters, like how to draw your own name. But I only learned how to read during the first grade, actually. And I think our first letter was M and then I. Because we had this little mascot character. Her name was Mimi. So once we learned M and I, we could immediately spell her name. And then our teacher was always like, and what is Mimi doing today? Oh, Mimi's learning how to write her own name. Stuff like that. Also, those are easy letters and stuff. The only letters that matter, no, yeah, N-U-E. That's the only thing you need. But I distinctly remember my first letter that I knew how to properly write in school was an M. And then in second grade, they force you to learn cursive, and you're only allowed to write cursive the entire way. And I think in third grade, they were like, okay, no, wait. Or was it in third grade that we learned cursive? I think in third grade we had to learn how to write in cursive, and we were only ever allowed to write in cursive. And then fourth grade you were once again allowed to just write however you wanted. But most people in my class kept writing in cursive because they were faster that way. It looked prettier. I immediately stopped. I hate my cursive handwriting. I hate it so much. Like, it certainly looks interesting. I don't think it looks more legible than like when I just use normal letters, so I don't like it. Copying letters in a small book that also had empty letters you could fill. Oh yeah, the empty letters. So where it's like at first it's a fully filled one, and then slowly like it goes away, and they have like little arrows in there to show you which way you have to go. We had those as well. I remember those. Aspen's so eager that she barely waits for Juliet and I to step out from the counter before leading us to a table besides the owls of books. Guessing that I'll be there for a while, I'll pull up a seat while a curious Juliet hovers over my shoulder. She sits down and begins unpacking the bag she brought onto the table, turning out to be a bunch of pens and pencils. She hands me one before placing a small workbook in front of me.
Let's start with the alphabet. Juliet, would you mind? Your handwriting is much better than mine.
Oh!
Gladly.
Okay. Realizing she's going to be a part of this, she quickly takes a seat to my other side and selects a sleek black pen. Opening the book, she brings her pen to one of the blank lines.
So, to begin with, this is the letter A.
Oh. The two of them take turns going through different letters of the alphabet and showing me how to write them. Although I have a hard time remembering which is which, I pick up the writing part pretty fast since I've had a lot of experience at work already. Each of them writes an example letter at the top of my paper first before I take my turn to try it. Juliet's handwriting is very precise and clean and reminds me of something you'd see in an advertisement or book. Aspen's on the other end is almost as messy as mine. Sometimes I'm not sure she's even writing the same letters as Juliet and I. Oh no! After we get through the whole alphabet, they quiz me by holding up cards with different letters and ask me to name them. I get a lot of them wrong, but I do get a lot of them right too. When Aspen finally calls it quits for the night, I'm a little bit disappointed.
So, how do you feel? I think you made very good progress for this being your first night.
Indeed. You should be proud of yourself, Miho.
I can keep a little smile off my face. Maybe I am a little proud.
It was more fun than I thought it'd be.
Yay!
It was tough at first, but I think I'm getting the hang of it.
You certainly are.
Yes, if you work on it a little bit each night, I'm sure you'll make great progress.
The workbook that Aspen gave me already has a few pages complete because of how fast we were going.
Do you think I could learn to read by the end
Going
of this
through the
week?
entire alphabet one is a lot, yeah. So if she can only already recognize a bunch of them and properly name them, she's gonna get it like a week tops, and then it's just doing it over and over. The look that the two of them exchange tells me my answer.
Well, not that quickly, I'm
Aw.
afraid. Even for the fastest learners, it still
Well,
takes
first
a
you need to
few
know the
moments
letters,
to
and then your brain
focus and
slowly needs to parse together how to recognize a word.
going by how quickly
So
get
you
this
stop
much
reading
info,
them letter by
I
letter.
think you'll do just fine.
Oh, I see.
I've been expecting this to take a few nights at most, but months? That's a lot longer than I was anticipating. I must look disappointed because Aspen frowns and leans forward.
Don't worry, I'm sure that time will fly by. As long as you're getting a little better every day, you'll be able to notice the results soon.
Great!
Here, why don't you try this?
Aspen gets up from the desk and maneuvers behind me, putting her hand on top of mine. It's a little shaky and I notice her face is red as she makes a point not to look at me. I almost stroke it away out of instinct, but keep my cool instead. I'm not used to people touching me, but I know that with Aspen it's just a friendly gesture.
Here, follow these lines.
She gently guides my hand up and down across the paper, slowly forming the letters on the page with me. After 4 letters, she stops and scurries back to her chair. Juliet's note of amusement from my side only confuses me further.
Can you read what that says?
I look down. The word on the page looks familiar. I squeeze my eyes shut, picturing the cards that they were holding up and watch what each letter sounded like. Yes, your own name.
Me. Miho.
With a jolt, I realize it's my own name. Juliet and Aspen both clap excitedly, a blush forming on my cheeks.
Yes! You did it!
I still can't shake the feeling that it's kind of embarrassing to have them cheer me on for something so simple. Looking down at the paper with my name on it though, I have to smile a little too. This is the first time I've written my own name, even if I did have Aspen's help. It's the first time I've read it myself too. You like the middle one's clothes? That's Juliet. The middle one is Juliet. I stared at it intently, committing the shape of those letters and emotions to make them into my memory. I've used so many names in my life, but for some reason this one feels a bit special. Just for good measure, I write it down a few more times to practice. Each time it gets a little bit less shaky and more legible.
Thank you
for the short everything.
Seriously.
Game's generally very pretty, yes, for sure. I love the art style. It's so soft, and with the effect they put on the sprites, where they like have this little backlight white glow, it makes him look very like even more soft. I don't know. Even if this wasn't my idea to start with, it feels like a new milestone in my life already. The start of something else that's new. I can add that to the list.
It's our pleasure.
It sounds like no feeling. I cannot wait for this game to rip
Especially
out
since,
my heart
I
at
did
some
kind
point.
of force you into it.
Like, I'm sorry, it's called Please Be Happy. I don't think the overall story is gonna be sad. I think the overall story is gonna be very happy. In fact, like Mio learns how to grow as a person of some kind, and you can date these two, but there's probably some backstory in there that's gonna like grab me by the neck and be like, oh. Be happy. Yeah, exactly.
It's okay.
Be happy. I'm not
I
asking
gotta need
anymore.
people to make me do stuff sometimes.
I'm certainly good at that. You'll have to wait until tomorrow for more though. I've already stayed a bit too late as it is.
Dating's certainly a way to become unhappy at some point. Oh no, don't say that.
Oh my, I hadn't even noticed the time. It sure did fly by, didn't it?
As she gets up to leave, Juliet and I take our feet as well. Before realizing, I let out a yawn.
I'll leave all this stuff with you,
Yeah,
Miho,
don't do
so you
that.
can study at your own pace. I'll try to come by at nights as well to help you practice.
Aw, thank you.
And you're always welcome to ask me for advice too.
Thanks. I'm gonna practice during work too, when I don't have anything else to do.
That sounds wonderful. Good night, you two. Thanks for having me over.
Bye, Aspen!
Good night, Aspen. We'll see you soon.
With a trademark smile and wave, Aspen leaves the library. The two of us watch her go as she heads out into the night's darkness outside.
I imagine you must be
Yawning so early in the day. I mean, that's why I keep telling you guys, it's not because I'm tired. It's just the automatic response I have to thinking or reading or hearing or seeing the word yawn, or seeing, hearing, watching. That's the same as seeing someone yawn.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I really am.
My hands are sore from all the writing and my palm is colored grey with smeared pencil lead and ink.
Can't believe that wore me out.
You had a full day of work, too. You should get some rest.
Oh, I
I'll
keep
finish
taking
cleaning up and
screenshots.
preparing
Jesus
for
Christ.
tomorrow.
Are you sure? I didn't really do many of my chores today.
I'm certain.
Mm.
Go on, go to bed.
Secretly glad to be heading to bed rather than doing my work, I start to head out. As I look back, Juliet playfully waves me out of the room.
Good night. And thanks again.
You're always welcome, Miho. Have a good night.
Mm. With a pause for another yawn, I stretch and head up the stairs. I'm going to sleep well tonight. Are you? As I lie in bed and wait for sleep to take me, I reflect on my day like always. Today was a good day. I accomplished a lot and I feel proud of myself. I can tell that Juliet and Aspen are proud of me too. It's taken some getting used to. It still weirds me out to think that the people care about me. They think of me even when I'm not around them. They're excited for me about things that don't affect them. It's weird, but in a good way. Now that I think about it, it's been a while since I had a bad day. The shock and uneasiness of having a safe place to live and a stable life have worn off, and my daily routine has become just that, routine. I thought I'd never get used to things like this, that they'd never be real for me. Well, turns out I was wrong. Rather than constantly overthink everything, I've gotten better at just going with the flow. I think that's something to be proud of too. Falling onto my side, I look around my room. It hasn't changed too much since I moved in, but it still feels distinctly mine. This isn't just a space that I happen to be in. Smiling, I close my eyes and roll onto my other side. Just when I become so sentimental. It's hard to say, but maybe that's okay too. I don't mind who I am right now, and my friends don't either. That's enough for me. With peaceful thoughts like that drifting through my mind, I also drift off to sleep. Work's been quiet today, with only a handful of patrons coming in at all. The few still here to keep to themselves, quietly reading and browsing the aisles. I'd normally be bored on a day like this. It's a good thing that I have something new to keep me occupied during my downtime then. A few of the worksheets and books that Aspen gave me yesterday are spread out on the desk, out of the way of our guests, but still where I can see them. Whenever I get a few minutes to myself, I practice writing letters or memorizing their sounds. When I have to write down titles that are being checked out, I pay more attention to what exactly I'm writing. I'm pleased to notice that it goes faster now than it did before. I still have a long way to go, but I can feel myself making progress with every word I finish. That sense of pride helps motivate me to keep trying. Even when I'm away from the desk, tidying things up or putting books away, I try to think about letters and words. It's nice to have something to focus on rather than just trying to find ways to fill the hours. Just as I settle back down to work after a quick lunch, Juliet comes down from her room with a folded parasol in hand. With a calm nod of greeting, she walks up and joins me behind the desk.
Hey, you're up early.
Yes, I had some daylight errands to attend to.
Oh!
How are you doing, Miho?
So you can go out, you just need to cover your skin, probably, huh?
Great! Check it out.
I show one of my worksheets, which was really just a blank piece of paper. On it, I've written my name over and over to practice. The first few, most of them are fairly messy. I think I get the hang of it by the end of the page though, and those ones are more legible. I offer the paper to Juliet, who looks it over with a smile.
Great job! I'm very proud of you.
Thanks. I'm proud of
I'm
you.
proud of me too!
What kind of errands are you running? Need any help?
Not this time. I'm just making a couple deliveries that can't wait until the evening. Will you be alright here by yourself?
I should be.
Yep. I think I've got the hang of everything by now.
I'm pretty used to handling my duties on my own. If there ever was a problem, it wouldn't be hard to go find Juliet to get her help. That hasn't happened yet, thankfully.
Excellent. I know I've said it before, but you've been a great help around the library. I appreciate you.
Oh, it's
excuse
not
me.
that hard. Besides, it gives me something to do.
That's nice to hear. But don't forget to take some time for yourself and have fun every now and then, though.
I still wonder though how exactly it came to be that these two decided, yep, we're gonna adopt this one fox girl now. Like, not in the sense that we didn't see it happen, but like what their reasoning was behind it. Because Miho broke in here and tried to steal a painting. Well, not the painting itself, but the frame? And then those two were like, oh, you know what? Why don't you live here? Help out. We help you out. Like, okay. I think that's some advice that Juliet herself should follow more often, but I keep that opinion to myself.
I will. Actually, I'm going to the museum.
She's just so
after
cute.
this.
Okay, yeah, valid reasoning, actually. We don't need more.
Aspen told me there's an exhibit all about Korea going on there. So, I'm hoping maybe I'll learn something useful.
She's the first one who was in that situation.
Useful.
Yeah, like about my person.
Oh, I see.
Juliet gives me the same small smile that Aspen did when I mentioned my person yesterday. I know they think it's probably hopeless, but I can't give up. I don't understand how they don't understand, since both of them always talk about caring for those close to you and making lasting bonds. Well, they have probably realized that your person might not be alive anymore if they were a normal human being. And not something like Juliet, someone like a vampire. Or another gumiho who would be able to live for that long. Whatever. They're trying to be supportive, I guess. Still, Aspen and Juliet have both done too much for me to hold that against them.
Well, I wish you the very best of luck. You know you can always ask.
Learn to read
if you
Korean.
need anything.
I know.
Before I start trying to learn how to read Korean, I would rather actually get into learning Japanese properly again, I think.
Anytime. I'm going to head out now, but I'll make sure to come back early enough for you to go to Te Papa.
Sounds good. I'll keep studying and working until then. Bye.
Goodbye, Miho.
Oh, the little parasol! Ooh. As Juliet goes out the front door, she pops the parasol open to protect her from the sun and then strolls out and joins the day's crowds. I stare at the now closed door, thinking. I wonder if either Aspen or Juliet have Aspen or Juliet have ever felt the same way about someone as I have about my person. It's a hard feeling to describe. It's something warm. I may have forgotten a lot over the years, but I've never forgotten their face or voice or the way they smelled, like charcoal and paint. All those things are too important to forget. It's kept me going my whole life, my entire reason for existence. At least until arriving in Wellington anyway. Even with my new life here, I can't just abandon my old one. Not entirely. Thank you for the non-binary! Hello! Maybe they just don't know how much it means to me. I couldn't blame them since I've told them all about how little I cared about everything else. Maybe they think it's like a hobby, something to pursue when I have nothing else to do. But even here in the library, surrounded by friends and busying myself with my job, not a day goes by where I don't think of of the forest back in Korea and my person. It's okay if Aspen and Juliet don't understand. They don't need to. It's important to me, and that's all that matters. So far, they've supported me in whatever I do. In fact, when I think about those two, I feel a similar way as when I think about my person. That warm, safe feeling, it's not exactly the same, but it's close. I don't think that's a coincidence. There have been lots of new feelings that I don't quite have words for. Like so many other parts of myself, I'm still figuring them out. That may take time, but I have plenty of it. Realizing that I've zoned out, I pull myself away from my thoughts and get back to focusing on work and studying. I may have lots of time, but I need to make sure I use it well. That makes sense, actually. Only an hour or two later, I look up from my work to see Juliet returning from her errands. Folding up her parasol, she soon joins me at the front desk again.
Hello again, Miho. I tried to hurry back so you'd have plenty of time
Aww.
at the museum.
Thank you!
You can go ahead and head off. I can handle the library for the rest of the day.
Cool, thanks. I tried to clean up and do as much as I could before you got back.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Enjoy yourself. You'll have to tell me all about it when you get back.
Will do.
I put away my study materials in my room and then with a big thumbs up to Juliet, leave the library. Gumiho was like a melody in my head, can we sing like na 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 every day? That's not the one I was thinking of. I was thinking of the cat. I'm a kitty cat thingy, but it doesn't work as much with Gumiho, I think.
Fresh air again.
I'm a Gumiho. And a dun 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 dun. Just doesn't have the same thing to it. Since I've been spending so much time inside since I started working, my walks and time outside are more refreshing than they used to be. The birds singing sound prettier, the scent of food wafting up from town smells tastier, and I'll bet even the grass would feel softer if I was in my fox form to feel it. It's been a long time since I've transformed now that I think about it. I need to stay focused for today though. But the museum is the only thing on my mind. I pick up my pace as I walk into Wellington, heading along the now familiar streets. She's not a cat! Yeah, no, she isn't. I pass by the Bell House and glance inside, but I don't see Aspen. She mentioned she'd be working late today, so she must be in the back or maybe on a break. I followed the directions she gave me yesterday until I reach the building that has to be my destination. It's big, with parts that go off in all different directions. Near the front there are two sections flanking the entrance. One is round and tan, while the other is made of darker stone and looks more blocky. It's a bit intimidating, but seeing a few people heading in and out is reassuring. Taking a breath to steady myself, I stride on up. The entrance has a huge glass ceiling, with glass doors that slide open when I approach them. I don't even have to pay or sneak in.
Whoa.
I mean, it is free apparently. The moment I step inside, I can safely say that I've never been in a place like this before. It looked big from the outside, but from the inside, it's huge.
How am I gonna find the crane exhibit?
I don't even know where to look first. Different paths lead to different types of displays, and I can see floors and elevators going all the way to the top. A family walks by me, following a big arrow that points deep into the building. Without any better ideas, I decide to take the same route. I'm sure I could ask someone where the exhibit is, but I'll look around on my own first. If I can't find it for a while, then I'll ask for help. I start to wander about once inside, looking for anything that I might recognize from Korea. To my surprise, there's plenty of other exhibits that also end up catching my eye. In one section, a variety of sea life, fish, turtles and others, hang from wires above everything else. They look so lifelike that I think they're real animals at first, but after staring closely, I can see that they're just models. Another part of the museum is filled with skeletons of what look like giant monsters. I can't even imagine what kind of creatures they once were. Maybe dragons. Maybe dinosaurs. Maybe this world had dragons though. I mean, we have these kind of people. Really actually ask for directions? Do you have too much social anxiety? I think I would also try to find it on my own. I read on in circles 3 times before I go up and actually ask someone. Spotting a panel with some illustrations, I skip over for a quick look. They aren't dragons, but they look awfully close. I've only seen a dragon once or twice in my life, but I've never seen one of these. So they have dragons! Huh! Dinosaurs and dragons in the same world. Okay. Cool. I like it. Other sections are dedicated to human and fabled civilizations. There are recreations of old human houses, as well as diagrams showing fairy homes and werewolf dens. Plus plenty of others. A tour guide talks us to a small group as I walk around, explaining this and that. I go slower through this part, feeling a little nostalgic. I even recognize some of the human technology and knickknacks from long ago. I had no idea they were old enough to be part of a museum now. Dinosaur dragons! So a museum doesn't necessarily only have old stuff. It can also have modern stuff. There's vampires and magical Korean foxes. There's such spicy dinosaurs in it. There's even a big memorial to the war showing humans and fabled fighting against one another. At the front is a painting of when the peace treaty was signed, which was the start of humanity and the fabled coexisting. Oh! I was around back then, but I stayed out of it, just like I stayed out of most things. Honestly, the history doesn't interest me too much, but I'm sure Juliet would love to see this. I'm sure she already has at some point. Just when I'm thinking about giving up and asking for help, I finally find what I'm looking for. A large banner with some text that I recognize as Hangul. Oh god, sorry for butchering that. The Korean writing system is hanging over a number of display cases and tabletop exhibits. I hurry over to get a closer look. It's It's quieter up here than it was on some of the lower floors. I'm able to take my time browsing without feeling like I'm getting in anyone's way. At the same time, my heart starts to beat faster with anticipation. I may not know what I'm searching for,
but I'm sure I'll know it when I see it. I start at the entrance and slowly make my way through. The first section is full of pottery and carvings like from the brochure Aspen gave me. There are little animals and people carved out of stone and even a few made of metal. A number of clay pots and vases sit on pedestals next to them. Most are cracked or damaged, but some look as good as new. You wonder what the cursed Uwe is about, huh? Yeah, well, here you go. This is what the cursed Uwe is all about. Don't you like this? I liked it. A lot. Your favorite trope is a mortal who saw so many important historical events but completely oh yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, Miho apparently saw the moon landing live. But she was like, I don't know what those people were doing. Guess Uwe just floods into his room with helium. Yeah, for 1 minute, we fucking kill my voice. Oh my god, there we go, voice crack. For 1 minute, we kill my voice and then we're back to normal. That's what cursed Uwe does. But it's always a little different each time depending on what I can actually do with my voice this time around.
It's also why it's both expensive and very short, because if I do this for long periods of time, it hurts.
Normal Uwe voice is a little lot less harsh on my voice. But if I do them right after each other, I always feel like the normal Uwe voice is a little boring. I could be wrong here though. I could be wrong. I hope you guys never feel like you're wasting those points. You do have 25k points left, yeah, and I have cooldowns on all of my redeems, I think. I think I have cooldowns on all of my redeems. A little lot less, yeah, come on. I can't talk. We already established that I can't read. What makes you think I can talk? Moving on to the next part, there are a few intricate looking outfits adorning mannequins. Some are just pants and a jacket, but most are vividly colored dresses that hang to the floor. I can almost feel the delicate silk in my hands. Oh! If I was still a thief, I bet these would sell for a lot. After clothes are paintings. Tigers and birds are common subjects, but so are people in cities too. Others feature gorgeous landscapes and flowers. Brave! I've never been a big fan of art, but somehow these are different. Looking at them doesn't make me feel sad. It doesn't make me sad, but it just makes me feel something. Like I'm wanting something I can have. Suddenly it comes to me, a feeling I've heard about but I don't think I've experienced before. Homesickness. A painting of a green forest could be the one where I was born. I've passed through towns that look like those in the paintings and hid from humans who look like the ones shown inside them. Not all the memories are good ones, but they're mine. There's not much that I can relate to nowadays in terms of people or places. I have friends now, sure, but I don't have much in common with them. It's never mattered before, but now... I wish I could reach out and touch the paintings before me just to feel something from the same era as me. Of course, they're behind Rome's which keep me well back. This is exactly how Mio sounds. I would argue that is definitely not how she sounds. Hold on. Well, I'm gonna try. See if I can match my voice to hers sometime after I actually hear her talk again. I reluctantly start to move on again. Just as I do, a certain painting catches my eye. It's small and displayed out of the way in a corner as if nobody thought it was that important. The edges are jagged and torn, but the crucial part is still there. On one side there's a fox surrounded by trees and leaves. Its fur is a different color than mine, but it's still clearly a fox. Just across from it is a human-like figure. She's dressed in an outfit similar to the ones I was just admiring, but that's not what stands out the most to me. On her head are two pointy ears and several long, bushy tails peek out from the bottom of her dress. When I look at the fox again, I notice that it also has more than one tail. I breathe in deeply as if I could inhale the scent of the forest just from this artwork. Another gumiho. I take in all the details I can. She's smiling, but a sharp fang makes her smile look sinister. The hand at her side has long claws instead of regular fingernails. Claws that are clearly meant for ripping. Whatever she's looking and smiling at is missing, being part of the torn section. It's just a small part that remains, a pair of boots on the ground, surrounded by the edge of what must be a pool of blood. Only then do I notice the blood around her lips and on the ground beneath her claws. And then the unmistakable bone-white bead hanging from a string around her neck. It's glowing like the moon. I instinctively raise a hand to my neck, feeling my own weight. It's reassuringly warm to the touch. Somehow I get the feeling that the one in the painting would be ice cold. This portrait of a gumiho leaves me conflicted. It's the same longing I felt looking at the painting of the forest, but those claws and the blood, those feel foreign and detached.
Is this how most people view gumiho? It would explain the fear and terror that seemed to follow me wherever I went when I was younger, the curses and threats from farmers and townsfolk whenever they saw me. It wasn't until after the war, when the fable became more common in human lands, that I felt comfortable without my ears and tail hidden. Even then, I'd sometimes get dirty looks just for existing. The threats were usually reserved for when I got caught stealing. Still, I've never been like the gumiho in the painting. Stealing is one thing, but hurting someone? That just isn't me. I wish I'd been able to explain that to them. I wonder how different my life would have been. I mean, even if you were able to explain it, I would bet most people wouldn't actually be willing to listen. I turn my eyes away from the painting, but I know I'll be thinking about it for a long time to come. There's no point dwelling on what could have been. I pass through the rest of the Korean exhibit quickly, barely glancing at the artifacts that I haven't seen yet. It isn't until I've nearly left the gallery that I see something that makes me pause again. Gallery. In a small and unremarkable display case among many others, there are a number of delicate scrolls. On each one, a few old-style Korean characters are written. I don't think they're Hangul, but I don't know what they're called. I can't fucking pronounce it! They do look familiar, though. I left my own scroll back at home for safekeeping, but I don't need it with me to compare. The sweep of the brush strokes, the shapes of the characters, the shade of the ink. Closing my eyes and breathing in deeply, I swear I can smell them. My person. I press my hand against the glass. This is the closest I've been in hundreds of years. After centuries of looking, you finally triggered the alarm because you touched the glass. You want to tell them what I said?
Hey, no touching!
Yeah, you're doing well. Okay. My problem with Korean is the way it's written, like in our letters. The romanized version looks way different. Like, because I'm the type to always read out words the way they're written, and Korean isn't like that. Not necessarily. The worst offender obviously is French, because French is not pronounced the way you write it at all. It's almost like those short words. I lean backwards as someone shouts. I look around and see a middle-aged woman wearing a badge and museum t-shirt stalking towards me angrily. The instincts I thought I buried kicked in. It's time to run. Picking up, I look around for a getaway route, but there isn't one. I'm surrounded on almost all sides by cases. The only open direction is the one the attendant is approaching from. Think, Miho, think. There has to be a way out of this. Anisipa? Yeah, no. Be gone. Do not speak French at me, Artie. Please. Every other language, but please not French. It's safe to say French is a completely fake language. It is. Could I jump over the displays? No, they're way too tall. Maybe if I transformed I could get past the attendant. I have no idea how to navigate this building though, and being a fox would attract way too much attention in a place like this. I'll wait for them to get close, and I could probably run right past them like the security guard when I first arrived in Wellington. Without racing, my panic must show on my face because they stop a couple meters away from me, frowning.
Hey, it's not that big a deal. Just please keep your hands off in the future.
Aw. With a shrug, they turn around, leaving me alone. That's it? My hands are shaking as I watch them retreat, expecting them to snap around and come after me. Of course that doesn't happen, and I'm very slowly able to relax. All I'm left feeling afterwards is a lot of embarrassment. Looking around me, I'm glad that there aren't many people in this area. Nobody's looking at me either, whether out of politeness or because they just didn't notice. My face is burning red, and I look down at the scrolls again just to hide it. I sigh. Maybe it was silly of me to think that I could change myself entirely in such a short time. Considering I've just been remembering the old days and all that abuse that I went through from humans, it makes some sense. After I settle myself down a little, I turn my attention back to what's really important. Hey Mio, I think you're traumatized. Whatever makes you think that? A being that is not human in a world that had humans and beings like her at war, and she's several hundreds of years old? Nah. Nothing bad ever happened to her. What the fuck? French also got hurt by the funny scholars who thought it would be cool to change words back to origin, but only in the way it's written. I just don't understand why you would add more letters to a word if you're not going to say them anyway. Why put them in there? I might have something useful written on it, but it doesn't do me any good. I considered trying to copy it all down to have Aspen or Juliet read it to me later, but there's so many words that I'm not sure I could get them all. I gulped, looking over at the museum attendant who was so scared of just a moment ago. I do have one option. Summoning all my courage, I approached them slowly. They're just a regular person, I remind myself, like Aspen or Juliet, or even like me now, just doing their job.
Excuse me?
I hope that's polite enough. As she looks over to me, her face doesn't look annoyed, more bored.
Can I help you? I'm sorry for touching the glass. I was wondering if you could tell me a bit about those papers, like who wrote them.
Like I said, it's no big deal. It's just a safety precaution so nothing gets damaged. Anyway, there's an informational plaque.
Yeah, I can read.
It should have all those details.
Would they even believe me if I said I can read? I worry that might make me even more suspicious.
Can't see very well, and the words are so small.
Aww.
Can you read it for me?
Oh, sure. Let's see.
That was almost too easy. They don't question or analyze me at all, simply walking over and leaning in next to me.
Says here these were some of the first works by a calligrapher whose name was Jong-in in the 17th century. They were a scholar who lived in Korea and...
The attendant keeps reading, but I'm not listening. I've already gotten what I came for. A name. Jong-in. For the first time I have something to call them, something that's unmistakably theirs. I pretend to listen to the rest of what's being read out loud and thank the person on autopilot when they're done. My head's not there here in the present moment, it's back in the forest where I was born.
Tongin.
Once I've walked away, I say it out loud, trying out how it sounds. I think it fits them.
Tongin.
Yeah, I guess she probably also did not realize the part where this calligrapher was probably dead. Or died sometime during that century. Well, I say it over and over again, making sure I'll never forget. Finally I have something to go off. Feeling a little bit dazed from the enormity of the moment, I find my way downstairs and wander out of the museum. I can't wait to tell Juliet and Aspen. Let her be happy! I'm sorry! I just want her to get hurt even more. It's only been like 500 years, it might be fine.
Good thing I can find my way back from here.
Oh god! I accidentally turned on autoplay. Oops. I don't even realize that I've zoned out until I reach the edge of Mount Victoria, right where the city streets turn into parkland. I'm still within the area that I've visited before, so I'll be able to use the mountain as a landmark to find my way back. I hummed to myself as I turned back, had a buzz with pleasant thoughts. If I give Juliet my person's name, I'm sure she can help me track them down. That's what she specializes in, after all. And I'm sure Aspen will want to hear all about their life too. She loves stories and I'm sure Jong-in will have a ton. I'm not sure how they feel about seeing me again. I doubt they ever expected it to happen. They'll definitely be surprised that I'm not just a fox they met back then, but a person now. I have a feeling they'll at least be as glad as I am. I may be halfway home before I realize that I'm not alone. The prickling sensation on the back of my neck is unmistakable. My instincts are telling me that someone else is nearby. I'm still near the mountain, but it's practically empty here. I can hear the sounds of other people in the distance, but they're all hidden by the trees and hills. I whip my head back and forth. But try as I might, I can't work out where they are. It's a strange and disconcerting feeling, given how easily I can pick up on even the smallest animals. You're beginning to see why it's called Please Be Happy. Then from the corner of my eye, I spot a bush slightly shuffling. Just as I turn to take a proper look, the silver fox I saw the other day steps out of it.
Oh, it's just you.
Hi! I start to bend down and reach out a hand like I would to a pet dog, but hesitate. I know from experience that a fox wouldn't respond to that. I'm surprised she hasn't run away already. That's what I would have done. She stares at me without the slightest movement, her eyes locked onto mine. My heart jumps as the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Something is off. Then, without taking her eyes off of me, she starts to transform. I barely have time to be shocked as her arms and legs get longer and the fur retracts, head shrinking and changing into something more human-like. For the first time in my life, I'm face to face with another gumiho! My throat tightens and goes dry, my vision narrows and my ears start ringing in shock. It's as if all the world has fallen away except for me and her. Silver and black clothes she's wearing seem to shimmer in the moonlight like the skin of a snake waiting to strike. Hanging loosely on her frame, the wrapped fabrics around her body and face make her appear almost formless.
Thank you for the follow. Come in. The only accessory is a bracelet around her wrist. It's a plain leather band, but a shining white bead is held in the middle by another loop of leather. I recognize that bead. I have one just like it. Well, almost like it. Whereas mine is a duller milky color, hers is so bright that it almost hurts to look at. The soft blue glow around it reminds me of the full moon. It's almost like she stepped out of the painting I just saw at the museum. The shawl covers most of her face, but her hair and eyes are still visible. Those intense eyes. Her gaze reminds me of steel, while they're the same shape as mine, they're sharper, angrier, crueler. She haughtily tosses her long, flowing hair back as she takes a step towards me. I skip back, keeping the distance between us. When I lived in the forest, I knew to flee when I met a predator stronger than I was. Better to get away alive than risk my life for pride. My survival instincts tell me that this is one of those times. The other gumiho loves, but there's no humor in it. Sharp and hollow, it only makes me more uneasy.
So, the human pet still knows when to run.
Excuse me?
The human... what? Pet. I've been watching you for a while. Ever since you came to this place,
I've never heard
actually.
someone say pet with so much distaste in their voice, like, goddamn, or disgust in their voice, I guess.
Watched you demean and domesticate yourself for the sake of humans.
Oh.
It's pathetic.
It's pathetic.
When you first arrived, I was hopeful that we might be alike. Optimistic, even. I was a fool. I see you now for what you are. Nothing better than a dog.
Damn.
Begging for its master's affection and table scraps. We are not the same. We are nothing alike.
Okay, and you showed yourself to me just to tell me that why? Her words hang in the air, poisoning my good mood from just moments ago. My first instinct is to run away as usual. Something stops me though. I'm entranced. The novelty of this experience of finally meeting another gumiho keeps me rooted in place despite my fear. No matter what she's like, this is the closest I've ever been to someone like me. I swallow the lump in my throat and hope that my voice doesn't shake as much as I think it will.
So wait, did you ambush me just to say that?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Ambush? You should have known weeks ago that I was following you.
Okay.
But I repeat myself. You've numbed yourself to your instincts and your potential. I saw you in that place of memories. Saw you gaze upon the portrait of one of our sisters. I hope that you would open your eyes, as you haven't before. It pains me to see your existence do disservice to our very kind.
Oh, Jesus.
Now that you have seen what you could and should be, perhaps you can still change yourself, dog.
Stop calling me a
Sharpen your
dog!
teeth and claws once more.
Shut up!
These creatures that you bind yourself to, those human and those not, they are but shackles, slowly squeezing away.
Superior complex
at
much,
what's
yeah.
wild and free in you.
I have a feeling she might be a little mad about humans in general.
Do not mistake my words for sympathy or pity.
Okay.
I would see you gone from this place.
Okay, damn. A little mad. Just tiny bit.
But so long as you remain, your presence.
She's not gonna blah, 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 blah.
It pains me to witness.
It pains me to witness. Okay. What you gonna do about it?
Thus, I will do what I must to cure it.
Oh.
As unpleasant a task as it may be.
Oh, no.
You will never be one of them. No matter
Two
how
identical
much
mirror
you may
streams?
crave
Oh.
it. Better to embrace
I
what
have
you
multiplied.
are and can be. Anything else.
Oops. Lady's looking at her so much, just looking. She studies me for a moment longer, then turns away. I feel like I should say something, but I can't find the words. Whether from shock or fear, I'm too dazed to so much as stammer out a denial. Her clothes melt away into silver fur, she transforms back into a fox. I reach out to stop her, but she flits off and disappears into the darkness without a moment's hesitation. The world around me rushes back in, my skin suddenly feeling cold in the night air.
The rush of emotions going through my head evaporates, and the adrenaline that was running through me ebbs away. I'm left just standing there, alone. You butchered the sentence a little bit. Closing my eyes, I muster the strength that I haven't tapped into in weeks. My bead warms itself as I transform, my body following the same motions as the other gumihos. I try to start chasing her, but my first steps on 4 legs are shaky. I've grown unfamiliar with this form, almost stumbling over just trying to move. Maybe there's a bit of truth in what she said. I take a few more steps toward the brush, but soon give up. Even if I caught up with her, what would I say? What would I do? I'd only make a fool of myself. There's a scent on the wind that I couldn't notice as a human, but it's unmissable as a fox. I recognize it immediately. From a long time ago on one of my first mornings here, when I first woke from my den near the mountain and stepped outside and knew that someone had been there. It was her. She really was following me from the beginning. For a long moment, I watched the place where she disappeared, then I transformed back. I don't really feel like a fox right now. I don't know what I'm feeling. Some of what she said is true. I haven't used any of my talents in a long, long time. My clumsiness when I'm in my fox form, my own original body, is a reminder of that. As for degrading myself for the sake of others, that doesn't feel true. I spent my entire life living free and for only myself. It's always been my choice to remain here and to not be forgotten. So why do her words sting so much? If I was totally confident in my decision, then they shouldn't bother me, right? Maybe I forgot more of myself than I know. Painting at the museum and the other gumiho herself both proved that there's something different about me. Something that must come easily to everyone else. Same way all the aspects of daily life at home don't come easily to me either. I feel disconnected, torn between 2 worlds that I barely know but can't help being drawn to. Where do I fit in? Where do I belong? I know what Juliet and Aspen would say, but does that make it true? The home hasn't been my home for long. Oh, it's putting you in the buffering dimension? Oh, I'm sorry. But thank you for coming by anyway. I've been a thief and a liar for so much longer than I've been whatever I am now. Without anything else to gain out here, I slowly start to make my way back home again. The excitement I felt about telling Juliet and Aspen everything I found at the museum has vanished. We'll have to wait for another time. After a quiet walk through the empty streets to the library, I quietly slink inside. Trying to keep Juliet from noticing, I just don't feel like talking right now. It seems to work. I can hear her bustling around somewhere, but she doesn't call out to me when I come in. Without a word, I ascend the stairs to my room as quickly and quietly as I can and climb under the covers. It's far too early to go to bed, but I don't know what else to do. If I'm awake, my thoughts will only be a bother. But I just sleep it off and hope that I feel better in the morning. Oh man. I hate those nights when you go to sleep simply because you don't feel good, and then the next morning you wake up and you're like, damn. And now I wasted time and I'm feeling bad. At least that's the way it's usually for me. Yesterday's events, both the good and bad, linger in my mind while I perform my usual routine of tossing and turning in bed before I get up. Now that the shock's worn off, I feel a little better about what's happened. I wonder if I'll have forgotten all about the other gumiho by the end of today. In fact, now that I think about it, it's possible I had met other gumiho before and just forgot about them. Everyone forgets meeting me, so maybe it works in reverse too. I have a slight feeling that's not gonna be the case here. But rather than dwell on the idea, I choose to ignore it. There's no way to know. I just drive myself crazy wondering. Instead, I keep myself busy by making myself more presentable for work. Heading into the bathroom, I clean myself using the soaps and shampoos given to me by Juliet. She's helped me so much ever since I started working here. Looking into the mirror for one final check before I head downstairs for breakfast, I can't help but think of what the other gumiho said. I've domesticated myself. My spotless face looks back at me, framed by fluffy and pampered hair. I can't deny that I've let myself be spoiled by others, content to just go along for the ride.
Snap out of it, Miho.
I lightly pat my face, like I've seen Aspen do sometimes when she's getting ready to start her own job. I'm not sure what it's supposed to accomplish, but it makes me feel a bit more confident. So, it accomplished something. Heading downstairs, I'm treated to the familiar scent of fresh cut fruit and frying eggs, as well as the pleasant sound of Aspen and Juliet chatting about books. When I enter the kitchen, I'm greeted with 2 smiles.
Morning, Miho.
Hi!
Good morning.
Good morning. Breakfast will be ready soon.
Cool.
I slide into my usual spot at the table and grab some apple slices, munching on those while waiting for the other 2 to go back to their conversation. Instead, both of them look at me expectantly.
So, how'd it go?
How did what go?
The museum? What else?
Was everything alright? When I didn't hear from you last night, I was fearing the worst.
Oh, nah. It was fine. They even had what I was looking for. There were some more...
Oh, damn it. Hold on. Do I have a way to look at it? There has to be a log somewhere, right? Yeah. There were some more scrolls by my person. There we go. There's a loud clatter as Aspen drops her fork in surprise. Even Juliet's eyes go wide with genuine shock.
There were?
Yes.
Are you sure it was them?
Unless someone else has the exact same handwriting.
Yep, definitely. I'd recognize that style anywhere. I learned a lot about them. Their name is Tony, and they're a scholar. I don't know what they study, though. The museum person didn't say.
For a long moment there's silence. Other than the sound of eggs sizzling in a pan, both my friends just stare at me dumbstruck.
What are those looks for?
You seem awfully calm. I assumed you must not have found anything, or you'd have been back immediately.
Yeah, well, there was some other stuff that happened too. I'll tell you about it some other time.
It's tempting to tell them about the gumiho, if only because I know they'd reassure me about everything she said, but that's why I can't tell them. Not yet. In a way, I'd just be proving her right.
Well, alright.
We'll be here whenever you need us.
Sure.
Thanks. Is breakfast ready?
Yes, just now. Here you go.
Juliet fills our plates and takes her seat, and we all dig in. It's a quieter meal than usual, with only the sounds of chewing and silverware scraping against the dishes. Oh, I hate the sounds of skill. Number one torture device would be sitting me in a room where I'm forced to listen to forks and other cutlery just scraping against each other or plates and stuff. Oh. Even thinking about it is making the hairs on my arms stand up. It's not good. I feel like Aspen and Juliet are having a conversation in their silence. Of course they'd expect more from me. I'd expect more from me too. And right after leaving the museum, I was that excited. I'm still excited, of course. It's just been tempered a little. I still plan to ask just Aspen and Juliet to help me get in touch with Jongying, but I want to wait until I can do it with a clear head. Once everyone's finished eating, I gather up the dirty dishes and take them to the sink, while Juliet washes the pans and Aspen wipes down the tables. Another routine morning.
I'll see you two later. Thanks for breakfast.
My pleasure, as always.
Bye!
With that, Aspen politely takes her leave and heads out the door. Juliet and I then go into the library ready to start the day. Or end it in her case. I head to my spot behind the front desk and begin getting everything ready. The checkout sheets, my pens and pencils, my study materials, and so on.
Are you all set, Miho?
Yes.
Yep, I've got everything I need.
Wonderful. Well, I'll leave you to it then. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You too. Sleep well.
From the way Juliet lingers halfway between me and the stairs, I can tell she wants to say or ask something else. She thinks better of it, simply giving me a smile before heading up to her room. I whistle while I throw open the curtains and unlock the door. By the time I've returned to the counter, ready for the first patrons to arrive, I even manage a light melody. I've been practicing my whistling a lot lately, as a way to spend time while alone. Aspen tried to show me how, but she's not very good at it either. I'm pretty sure I'm already better than she is. The sound of it reminds me of the birds back in my home forest. Before long, patrons start to arrive, and I soon have a list of things to do. Books to check in and out, books to return, books to search for. Keeps me good and busy. The hours pass by in blissful normalness, and I don't have a single thing to complain about. Aw, okay. It's nice. Oh! Where do we go? Should we go to the waterfront? We haven't checked whether we can... Yeah, let's go to the waterfront. Let's see what happens there. Hello! The marketplace is a buffet of interesting smells. Stink of raw fish mixing with street foods in a way that might repel a weaker person, but not me. I'm on the hunt for something yummy and cheap when a woman makes me over to her table. Free samples of our Korean corn dogs! Korean corn dogs. I never saw such a thing when I lived in Korea, and beyond that, I've never seen a corn dog that looks like this. Mind you, the corn dog is sliced into smaller pieces for sampling, but it appears to be covered in cubes and some kind of powder. They're delicious! The potato bits are mixed into the batter like french fries, and it's topped with a little bit of sugar. The savory and sweet mix is really addictive. Thank you for the pet! And the hydrator. Huh. Far be it for me to turn my nose up at potatoes or sugar. Mmm. I take one of the sample pieces and nibble at it, slow and careful at first, as I process the unconventional ingredients. Once I've had a chance to ponder it and realize it's good, I plop the entire thing in my mouth and chew with gusto. Good, right? Just for you, you can have one more sample piece. I know how hard it is to just take one bite. You always want more. I can't afford a full corn dog, so I accept the extra sample cheerfully and go along on my way. Korean corn dogs. I have to remember them for the future. Alright. It's a rainy Thursday morning and the library is as dead as ever, as I've ever seen it. Even Aspen didn't come by this morning simply because she didn't want to get soaked. We'll see each other later instead. The only patrons here are the ones who don't mind the weather, so I have to make sure they don't drip on any of the books. Before she went to bed for the day, Judy left a bundle of towels near the door for anyone who needs one. At least it makes my work easier, and a slow day means I have extra time to study. I'm able to remember most of the letters by now, and even read a few words. I haven't told Julie or Aspen about my progress because I want to surprise them with it later. After an hour or so, I set aside my pencil and gaze out the window with my chin resting on my palm.
Huh. It stopped.
Rain? It's still cloudy outside, but the worst of the rain seems to be over. I get up and walk to the window, looking around at the soggy view. I leap backwards in surprise as something suddenly splats against the glass in front of me.
Whoa!
What the heck? At first it looks like a puddle of water that's stuck to the window, but then it starts to wiggle. What the hell? I stare in confusion as a pitiful looking face forms in its middle, then frowns at me. Suddenly it hits me what I'm looking at. This must be a water elemental. I've never seen one before myself now. They usually hang out in rivers or lakes, but I've heard that sometimes come out onto dry land when it's rainy. That must be what this one did. Now that it stopped raining though...
No, you could dry up.
Just like a fire elemental can die if its flames go out, a water elemental like this could be in trouble if it doesn't stay wet. The weather might still be damp, but the sun is starting to poke through the clouds.
Wait right there. I'll go find something.
Oh no! I don't know if it can understand me or even hear at all, but I wave at the window and hold up one finger to try to show that I'll be right back. After a quick peek to make sure there's no patrons waiting, I hurry to the kitchen and dig through the cabinets, hoping to find a pot or something that's big enough. The biggest one Juliet has is the one that she uses to make pasta, and even that might be too small. Plus, I'm not sure she'd want the taste of water elemental to be there every time she tries to make spaghetti.
Where else?
I could just wake Juliet up and ask her, but I should really try to solve this myself before bothering her. Instead, I start hunting through the other rooms for something that might help. There's nothing in the bathroom nor in the library area. When I check the dining room a second time, however, I notice a big bowl on top of a shelf that I hadn't seen before.
Perfect.
I have to stand on one of the chairs to reach it, but I grab the bowl and fill it half full with tap water before hurrying back to the window. The elemental is still stuck there like a very sad bumper sticker. It already looks a little smaller, but it ripples with excitement when it sees me, its frown shifting into a watery smile. I head out the front door and skip around to the window, squelching through the wet grass as I do.
Here you go.
Holding the bowl up to the window, I gently brush the elemental in. To my surprise, it doesn't feel like touching regular water. Instead, it's thicker and a bit sticky like jelly. The elemental starts to slide into the bowl and bubbles, which I hope is a good sign. It doesn't mix with the water in the bowl, but instead kind of hovers, with water both above and below it. When it gets itself fully into the bowl, it almost fills it up. The water sloshes over the edge and onto my hands, leaving the bowl almost dry except for the elemental itself. The bubbles stop and an uncertain-looking face peers at me from the bottom.
Alright. Let's get you inside and figure something else out.
I hold the bowl as steady as I can and try not to spill any more as I go back into the library. Just like the guests at the library, I have to make sure not to get any books wet. There's an empty side table near one of the reading chairs, so I set the bowl down there. The elemental seems fine for now, but it looks worried again. It reminds me a lot of Aspen.
I'm not sure what else to try.
I rack my brain trying to think of something I might have missed in the bathroom or kitchen.
Wait! That bathroom! That's it!
You could put the elemental in the bathtub if there is one. Leaning down in front of the bowl, I try to reassure the elemental, which is doing its best to stay absolutely still and not slosh.
Okay, don't go anywhere. If
If you even can.
Running to the bathroom, I plug out the bath and set the faucet to max.
This ought to work for a bit.
Leaving the water running, I go back and retrieve the bowled elemental. This time I end up spilling more of the water, but luckily it only hits the ground. The tub is about half full by the time we get back, which should be perfect. I turn off the faucet and carefully pour the elemental in.
How's that?
There's a stream of excited bubbles.
Cool. Sit tight, and I'll find something we can use to get you back to the river.
More bubbles. Quickly, but not in as big a rush as before, I go to resume my search on the second floor. Because this place is so big, there are still a few rooms that I've never seen. I'm pretty sure Juliet wouldn't mind me going in, since I'm trying to help someone out. The first room that I try is a closet filled with towels and bed sheets and laundry stuff. The room after that is locked.
That's weird.
I try the knob again in case it was just stuck.
Nope, definitely locked.
I wonder what's in there. I've never paid much attention to that door before since it's so far from my room. I drop to all fours and try to see under the door, but it's too narrow to see anything. Another nearby door isn't locked, and even better, isn't a closet. Aside from the doorway, which isn't particularly bright, it's pitch black when I step inside. I flick on a light switch, but the bulb fizzles and dies right away. It only takes a moment for my eyes to adjust to the darkness, and what had at first just been dark smudges turned out to be a bunch of boxes and assorted junk. Storage room. This is most definitely a picture, like a real picture, put to some kind of filter though. The whole place is covered in dust. I guess Julie doesn't come in here either. Peeking into one of the boxes, it's filled with old kids' toys, like dolls and stuffed animals. Another one has some folded up clothes. Just as I'm about to give up and try another room, a half-covered object in the corner catches my eye. A heavy blanket is draped over a glass box, which is full of more random junk. I hold it all out and remove the blanket, smiling at my find. It's a big fish tank, just like the ones I saw at the museum.
Score!
After turning it over to shake out as much of the dust and debris as I can, I triumphantly take the tank to the kitchen sink to rinse it out before hauling it to the bathroom.
Look what I found!
When I set the tank on the edge of the tub, the elemental floats up to the top of the bath and ripples. It takes some maneuvering to hold the tank under the faucet, but eventually I'm able to figure it out and fill it up. Then I use the bowl from before to scoop up the elemental and dump it into the tank.
Perfect, right?
More ripples and bubbles.
Okay, let's get you to the river.
You're still technically at work, by the way. I wrap my arms around the fish tank and lift. And nearly tear my arms off.
That's heavy.
Yeah! Filling a fish tank with water is gonna make it heavy. I didn't notice when I was just getting the tank set up, but with all the water in it, it weighs a ton. It's way too heavy for me to carry to the front door, much less all the way to the river.
This could be a problem.
It had seemed so perfect, so lucky. Even after dumping out some of the water, I still can't carry it. Sitting down on the tile floor, I sigh. The elemental floats dejectedly.
Miho? What's going on?
Hi!
Sinks and bathtub running.
Juliet is standing in the doorway as I look up, wearing a look of concern on her face.
Hey! It was raining earlier, right? Well, there was this water elemental on the window. I tried to bring it inside so it wouldn't dry up while I worked out how to get it back to the river, but now I can't carry this huge fish tank that I found.
A fish tank? Where'd that come from?
Oh god.
It was in one of the storage rooms, along with a bunch of kids' stuff. I'm guessing they came from the library.
I don't think that's a room you should have gone in, but maybe I'm thinking too far ahead. Juliet purses her lips and a female heartbeat start to quicken like it always does when I'm in trouble.
Sorry if you didn't want me to go in there. I didn't know what that room was or what I was even looking for until I found the tank. I didn't look inside the locked room though.
Juliet's frown deepens, but it doesn't look like she's angry, more like she's sad.
No need to apologize. You've done nothing wrong. Although...
I wait for her to finish her sentence, but it doesn't happen.
Although...
Never mind. It's nothing. Let's focus on helping our friend here first.
She reaches into the tank and scoops a handful of the water before dripping it back onto the floating elemental. The creature seems to enjoy it as far as I can tell.
Any ideas?
An idea comes to mind after you mentioned that storage room.
Maybe you have some kind of trolley you could put the tank on and then just like drag it.
Okay.
I sit back and relax as Julia departs. I'm glad she didn't get upset after all, but something was definitely bugging her. I wonder what it was. After a couple of minutes, I pick up the sound of something rolling down the stairs. I stand up and poke my head around the door and spot Juliet pulling a red wagon behind her. It has a row panel and isn't very large, but should have more than enough space for the tank.
Whoa, you're a genius!
With a smile, Juliet parks the wagon next to the bathtub.
As I said, you were the one who gave me the idea. Would you
Okay.
mind when you lift it onto the wagon?
How are we going to get this down the stairs, or is the bathroom already on the lowest floor?
Sure.
We each take one end and carefully move the tank. Juliet also brought a number of tight straps to help keep it in place. Once it's all set up, the elemental is safe and secure. I kneel down to get my face level with the glass.
How do you like that?
This time the elemental shifts into the biggest grin I've seen.
Looks like we've got a winner.
Wonderful. If I watch the library, would you mind taking it back home? You're welcome to borrow an umbrella.
Sure.
No problem. Be back soon.
Taking a towel and umbrella for myself from the front door, I lead the elemental outside onto the path. It's cloudy out and more grey than blue, but at least it's not raining right now. Still, I don't want to waste any time.
Is anywhere in the river okay?
The elemental pops up and
I
down.
know just the place then.
The muddy path slows down the wagon a bit, but it isn't too bad. When we go downhill, I have to be careful not to let it get out of control, but other than that, it's pretty easy. From the bottom of the hill, it's not too far to the spot I had in mind. I noticed a small abandoned ramp into the river way back when I was still living in the woods, but it wasn't useful to me
Don't
then.
know why anyone built this place, but it sure worked out for me.
Kneeling near the bottom of the ramp, I wrap the wagon's rope around my wrist to keep it from rolling away, then undo the straps on the tank. With both hands, I gently tilt the tank onto its side. The water and elemental spill out, flowing down the dirty concrete and into the river. The water begins to churn immediately, bubbling as if something huge is coming to the surface. A rushing sound echoes about the empty area before a torrent of water suddenly shoots upwards like a fountain, arcing clear over me. As I look up, I see the elemental shimmering within the water, catching a light from the sun. For one brief moment, the most beautiful, vivid rainbow I've ever seen hovers before me, so close that I could touch it. Then the water and elemental crash back into the river, and everything goes still. I smile, certain that I understand.
You're welcome.
Aww! Isn't that sweet? Okay, where else could we go? Where have we not gone to before? We could go to the botanical garden again. I'd intended to take a walk through the botanical garden, but my usual route is being blocked by a small wedding ceremony. Oh! I didn't know a place like this would run out of space for weddings, but I guess it makes sense. Lots of good scenery for wedding photos. Weddings, huh? If I got married here, what would If I got married here, what would be the best flower to kiss the bride in front of? Maybe like one that smells really good, so that I'm making a pleasant face if anyone takes a photo. Not that I think any of that will ever happen, but you know, it doesn't hurt to imagine. All day it's been showering on and off, raindrops still pattering on the roof even now. At least the frogs outside are comfortable, happily croaking away in the dark night. To stave off the cold, I keep a warm blanket wrapped around me while sitting up and watching TV. I don't really understand all the complicated things the presenters are talking about, but it's interesting to see the reports from all around the world. My ears prick up as I hear someone walking up to the door, a series of three knocks gently ringing out against it. Always three, from Julia.
Yeah?
Oh! New outfit!
I'm making some tea. Would you care to join me? I can make some hot chocolate as well.
Sure. Be right down.
A warm drink sounds nice right now. Not wanting to leave my cozy blanket, I decide to hold it tightly around myself and waddle down to the kitchen with it. The stairs prove a little difficult, but I manage. There are already 2 mugs sitting on the table when I arrive, and the kettle is already steaming. As I take my seat, Juliet pours boiling water into each cup.
You knew what I was gonna say before you even asked me, huh?
I had a feeling, yes.
She pushes my mug across the table, and my hands peek out from my blanket to cradle it. Happy for the warmth, I hold the mug for a while before tasting the steaming hot chocolate inside.
I like the hot chocolate you make even better than the stuff at the Bell House.
Ooh!
Why, thank you. I'm happy to hear that. Although I imagine Aspen wouldn't be.
I mean, this is hot chocolate and not coffee.
Do you ever go there? Now that I think about it, I'm surprised we've never gone together.
We haven't. Oh, why don't we change that sometime then? Perhaps we can meet Aspen for breakfast there instead. It has been a while since I've stopped by.
Sure! I've never gotten any food from there, only drinks.
You're in for a treat then. They serve delicious pastries and sandwiches. There's a particular one that I know Aspen enjoys. Although, I can't remember what it was.
That's okay. I'm sure I'll be fine with anything they have. I can't remember the last time I tried something that I didn't like.
That must come in handy when traveling the world so much, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Can't afford to be picky when you don't know the next time you'll even have options.
Have you found a favorite food? Or type of cuisine that you most enjoy?
Not really. Most of the time I just eat junk food or leftovers. Not really anything fancy.
Understandable. If there's ever a certain dish or meal that you'd like to try, it would be my pleasure to help make that happen. Perhaps we could even learn to cook it here at home, so you could have it any time.
Sure.
Sure!
I toss that onto the mental pile of if there's ever anything that Juliet's offered me. I know she means well, but at this point I can't remember everything she said that about. The two of us continued to chat for a while, and I recount the full day's events with the elemental to Juliet, wrapping up my story at the point where I came home from the river.
Oops! That reminds me. I never put away the wagon. Let me know where it goes, and I can take it upstairs when I go back to my room.
Wagon? Oh, yes. Yes, of course.
Juliet quickly looks away, taking a sponge and busying herself cleaning some loose sugar off the counter, but it's obvious that something's off. I'm not sure what to do. It's so rare that Juliet's the one who seems uncomfortable. In fact, this is the only time I can think of. Other than when I first met her, of course, when I sort of tried to steal that painting.
By the way, who does all that stuff belong to? The wagon and the toys, that is. Were they part of the library children's section before or something?
No, they were personal possessions, not part of the library.
Oh, like from when you were a kid?
I don't think she had those for herself.
No, not my childhood.
Huh?
Sponge stops moving, Juliet's shoulders slumping as she gives up trying to work. I feel a little bad for making her act so oddly.
If you don't want to talk about it, that's totally fine. Sorry. I didn't know it was sensitive. I'm really, really sorry.
It's fine. You couldn't have known. Besides, perhaps it's only right that you know.
Know what?
She turns back towards me, taking a breath before she continues. Her eyes don't look at me though, they're looking past me.
Do you remember when, several weeks ago, I told you that I met someone who changed my life? Someone who made me want to be a better person?
Yeah.
Well, her name,
I knew it.
my daughter's name, is Cosette.
I mean, when she first told us she met someone, I was thinking, oh, an old lover? But as soon as we saw the kids stuff up there, it's like, oh, fuck, goddamn.
You have a daughter?
Had?
Yes, and she's been the biggest blessing in my many, many years of life. Although she's not of my own flesh and blood, she was my child. I found her on my doorstep one morning, tucked into a basket with a blanket and scarf around her.
Oh.
It was cold that morning, so very cold. When I opened my door and saw the silent bundle there, I feared that she was dead. But she was not. She was so very alive, and despite the cold, so very, very warm. She was barely a year old, if that. Yet she didn't cry. She could have been there all night for all I knew, but she never uttered a sound. I brought her inside, of course, just so she wouldn't freeze. Beyond that, I was panicked and confused. I'd never wanted a human child. I didn't even know how to raise them. To this day, I don't know why whoever abandoned her chose my doorstep to leave her on, of all places. But how wonderfully, impossibly lucky I was. Because she didn't cry, I thought she might be mute. But that wasn't the case. She had a great deal to say. And as she got older, she would talk and talk. Every word was like music, a melody to my ears only. I felt so fortunate, and so unprepared. I suddenly had the life and well-being of another in my own hands. Her future, her everything. It was a responsibility I had never asked for, and likely would have never asked for if my life hadn't changed that day. She grew and grew, from a curious baby to a precocious child, then to a confident young lady, and finally to a lovely woman. I couldn't have been more proud as a mother. Every graduation, every breakup, every smile and tear changed my life. As my daughter, of course it would be true to say that I raised her, but it was mutual. She also made me into the person I am today.
Once Juliet finishes speaking, I let out a breath I don't remember holding. Just as when she'd first started speaking, her gaze still fixed on the empty wall somewhere above my head. Just like when Aspen gets sucked into one of her books, I can tell that Juliet's mind is somewhere else entirely.
The moment that I resolved to raise her, I made a promise to myself and to her. A promise that I would do all in my power to make the world Cosette lived in, grew up in, a better one that I had experienced. That I would show her how to find the beauty and the joy in all things dark and terrible. In a sense, I ceased to exist as a single person. My life was no longer my own. It was tied, forever and always, to another.
So, all those toys and things.
Yes, the treasures and mementos of another life. Of happy days filled with laughter. Of scraped knees and tummy aches. Of heartbreak and homecomings. I keep them there as not simply a reminder, but a tribute to those times.
Whoa. I would have never guessed any of that. I never knew you were a mom.
Her gaze returns to me, to the world that we're in now. She gives a little smile, but it looks fragile.
Well, I suppose it's not something I speak of very often.
Does she live here in Wellington? Could I meet her?
She's dead. Juliet regards me with a strange look similar to earlier with the elemental. It's not that she looks angry, but like she's thinking about something very hard. I step back, not sure what else to do or what I might have said wrong. Like always, her expression soon softens.
She is in Wellington, yes. A bit of a walk, but not too far. You can go in the morning if you'd like. It's been a little while since I have.
Sure, fine by me. I guess it is getting kind of late for a visit, huh?
It is indeed. Speaking of which, I actually have some business I must tend to myself. Will you be alright on your own, Miho?
Oh, yeah, of course. Don't worry about me.
Have a good night then. See you in the morning.
See you. I'll be ready to go first thing.
As Juliet leaves, I watch her go. It might just be me, but it seemed like she left in a hurry after saying all that. Maybe she and Cosette had an argument about something, or maybe she just didn't want me to meet the other people in her life. I'm probably just imagining it. The way she talks about Cosette is so different to the way I've heard Juliet talk about anything or anyone else. I can tell she cares a lot about her. Hopefully it'll make sense tomorrow after I get to meet her. I think Miu has no concept of death. Like, she does not at all like that. Think about it that way. When I finally decide to head up to my room, I take the wagon back first, as promised. I have to pick it up and carry it to get it up the stairs, but fortunately it's not that heavy, even with my blanket bunched up inside. Once I get to the second floor, I put it down and drag it the rest of the way to the storage room. After pushing the wagon into its empty spot, I take a proper look around now that I know what this room actually contains. More than just toys, I also spot racks of clothes and stacks of books and all kinds of other belongings. The whole room is pretty packed. Slowly making my way back to the door, I carefully maneuver between a rocking horse and a dollhouse, taking care not to step on anything or knock it over. Taking one last peek around before I head to my own room, I get the feeling that there's nothing missing from Cosette's childhood in here. I can't say for sure, but it certainly seems like Juliet hasn't let anything go. The morning air is fresh and crisp, the plants around us looking healthier for the drink last night. A handful of small puddles here and there are all that remains of yesterday's rain, likely to be completely dried up in a few hours. As I stand by the front door of the library, Juliet walks up beside me and unfolds a parasol, bringing it over her head.
Shall we depart? It's about a 30-minute walk from here, so perhaps we'll take a ride back once we're done.
Yep. Will you be okay in the sun with that?
Yes. It's still early enough that I don't need to worry too much.
Lead on then.
Stepping out into the brilliant morning, I stretch and roll my shoulders. It's a nice day, not too cold and not too hot. As always, Juliet's steps are measured, and even as she walks, her parasol wafts with each step, making it look like she's wearing a big hat from this angle. I smile to myself at the image as I skip along beside her. Even with protection from the sun, it's rare to see Juliet out in the daytime.
So, I was wondering something. If your daughter lives so close, then why doesn't she come to visit more often? I've been here for a couple months now.
Although she clearly heard me, Juliet doesn't answer. Maybe it's a personal question because things are tense between them. I've never seen Juliet not answer one of my questions before, so don't push it. Juliet remains quiet as we keep walking. That is unusual for her, but I still feel a little awkward.
Sorry if I shouldn't have asked that.
No, it's all right. You'll see when we get there, though.
Oh boy.
Okay.
We head in a direction that I haven't explored before. We're in the same area as the gardens, but not quite the same spot. A massive green hill watches over us from one side, while trees blanket the other. After crossing a small bridge that runs over the highway, we reach another beautiful area. The concrete path we walk along is lined with bushes and flowers, and the occasional decorative plants. Decorative. There are a few houses peeking through the trees which ring the area, but most of the field is still covered in nature.
Whoa. Are we getting close?
Yes, we're very nearly there. This is Bolton Street Park.
She's pretty lucky to live in a place like this. Huh?
Even as a child, Cosette had an affinity for the woods and trees.
I get that. I'll bet she would love to be able to turn into a bat or a fox.
I'm taken off guard by Juliet letting out a great laugh. I don't think I've ever seen her like this. A little giggle, or rarely a chuckle from time to time, sure, but never anything so relaxed and sincere. A grin spats on my face just from watching her.
Yes, I think you're right about that.
There are only a handful of houses around the park, so I wonder which one is Cosette's. Time and time again, we walk on past the turns which lead to any of them. Just as I start to wonder where it is we're going, Juliet slowly comes to a stop. The main path forks into two here, the one to our left a well-trodden dirt path. There's a sign, but I can't quite read the writing yet.
Everything okay? We're not lost, are we?
Heavens, no.
A number of tall trees shade the path that we're on, giving enough protection for Juliet to slide her parasol shut. She takes a deep, silent breath, then smiles and gestures down the offshoot before us.
It's right this way. Just a little further.
Nodding, I follow again as she leads us onwards. Right away, I notice that something is a little bit off. Juliet's steps are slower and a bit more uneven, like she doesn't want to get to wherever we're going. After a few minutes of walking in silence, she takes one last turn off on the path we were on, leading me up a small hill dotted with trees. Once we reach a crest, Juliet comes to a stop. Still confused, I step up beside her.
Here we are.
Huh? I don't see... Oh.
In the shade of one of the trees is a grey stone monument. Its edges are rough and worn from time, but it's spotlessly clean. There are others like it nearby, practically identical. Words are carved into the stone, too small for me to read easily. I've never visited before, but I realize what this place is. I silently mouth the letters of the word at the top, even though I'm pretty sure I know what it's going to say. There's a C, then an O, then an S. Cosette's grave is preserved perfectly.
I'm sure Juliet wouldn't stand for anything else.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
It's okay, Miho. I'm aware you didn't know, but I wanted you to.
She turns back to the grave, gently running a hand over the curved stone.
My beautiful, precious daughter passed away years ago. Almost 2 decades by now. She lived a long, full life and spent her final moments with those she loved. The last words she told me, the last words she ever said to me.
Juliet's shoulders shake without a sound as I stand there helplessly. She shudders as she takes a deep breath.
Or that she couldn't have been happier.
What was she like?
She was so many things, and it's almost impossible to answer. I think you would have liked her. I'm sure she would have loved you. She was adventurous and free, sometimes stubborn to a fault. Once her heart was set on something, there was no stopping her. Everything she did vividly, to the fullest. Even if the very laws of existence told her something was impossible, she would try anyway. She was endlessly kind, with compassion for every living thing, from the smallest insect to the largest, most ferocious beast. She saw the value in all of them.
She gives a small smile as she looks at me, even as tears well in her eyes. I gulp to try and force down my own emotions.
You should have seen her as a child. She would talk your ear off. Both of them, if you'd let her. There wasn't a single person near us who didn't know who she was. So open and free was she. That warmth and care. It was the core of her life. If she saw someone in need, she would rush to their aid. It just naturally came to her. If you or I see someone hurting, we may choose to help. For Cosette, it wasn't a choice. It was simply who she was. To know her was to adore her. Every day that went by, I was more and more proud of her. Those virtues never faded a bit. Even on her last day, she was worried for me more than anything. I promised her that I would...
Juliet sobs, dragging her hand across her face. All I can do is watch, my own emotions a storm that tosses me in all different directions. Pain in Juliet's shaky voice is enough to make my own breath tremble. But beyond that, there's something else, something eating at me that I don't want to acknowledge. Juliet turns back towards the grave, taking a couple steps closer. Unfurling her parasol, she holds it over her shoulder like a shield, guarding herself against the sunlight. She's also able to stand a little straighter.
I promised her that I would live as she did, to honor her memory with kindness and with virtue and with compassion and patience for all, that I would ensure her legacy lived on in the many lives she had touched. It was only in the days that followed her passing, as I wandered lost and alone, that I truly began to understand how much she had saved my own life. The gift she gave me was something I'd never had before. Purpose. How very silly and irrelevant things such as wealth and prestige began to seem after that. Those were fleeting concepts, born as a misplaced need or desire. There was something that could be much greater. Something well beyond money and power. Love. As a word, it's difficult to understand. To hear the poets speak of it, there's nothing mightier and nothing softer. Love was either everything or it was nothing. It had always seemed so trite, so immature. An attempt to create meaning where there is none. And yet, I've found that the poets were right. They were so right. You and I, Miho. To be able to live on, unaffected by time's curse, must surely seem a blessing to some, but that time is meaningless without something to fill it. To those of us who walk alongside Father Time, rather than fleeing him, it's awfully lonely. When I first became a vampire, I told myself that I had no more need for humans, that I was beyond them.
She became one? She wasn't born a vampire?
Now, I realize I was afraid. There's a simple contentment and joy that can only be found in experience and age, I've learned. Wisdom does not exclude humans, but to look on as once vibrant hair fades to grey, and as once strong hands soften their grips, as once treasured memories become distant, there is pain. To watch someone you love grow up is beautiful. To watch them grow old is to suffer. Cosette lived into her 80s. A good, long life for a human. Even as her flesh started to fail her, her mind never did. She was sharp as a sword and quick as a fox. For a human, there is no kinder, gentler end than that of old age. And every day, I'm thankful that Cosette was one of those lucky ones. To slip away peacefully and painlessly. As I held that soft, shaky hand for the last time, I wished desperately that I could trade places with her. I would have done anything to give her just one more day. But there was nothing to be done. Cosette passed on with no regrets, and a smile on her face. She lived as full a life as any human could live, and when she was gone, I was still there. My flesh not a day older than when I met her. It was then that I realized what a cruel gift immortality could be. What a slow, repetitive torture if I chose to let it. So for the sake of Cosette's memory, and of the promise I made, I swore that I would continue to live as I had not lived before. For virtue, for friendship, for others. For tomorrow, to die is human. To live is a privilege.
Ouch! Jesus Christ. Oh, that hurts. Oh! With absolute clarity, the storm inside me calms as I pass through its eye. There's a sense of finality in Juliet's words, which leaves them ringing in my ears as I stumble backwards without thinking about it. To die is human. All humans, Cosette, someday Aspen, but also even mine. My person. Understanding hits me like an arrow to the heart, and I barely notice the look of surprise on Juliet's face as I transform, turning tail and fleeing into the forest. My person, the one I've searched for my entire life, is dead too. Long dead. No matter what happened after I left the forest, the nature of the human lifespan means that it lived lifetimes ago, generations ago. As I run further and further away, one thought echoes above the others. All this time, all these years, all these decades, it's been for nothing.
I dig my claws into the earth with every step, tearing at the roots and leaves. I do know the name for the feeling pulling and tugging at me, the one that had taken over Juliet as we stood there. One I've heard of, but never felt until now. Grief. Every lie, every theft, every struggle and hardship, everything. For nothing. That word swirls in my head, a dying leaf drifting towards the ground, falling and powerless to stop itself. Finally I come to a stop, not even knowing where I am or for how long I ran. I just stop when I lose the will to run anymore, transforming onto my knees. Every decision I've ever made, every place I've ever gone had all been in service of one dream. Over time I grew to rely on it. I didn't ever have to think or make a difficult decision for myself. Instead, it was like I had a path to follow however long. But that path wasn't actually leading anywhere. All it did was take me far away and leave me on my own. Rising to my feet, I look around the area. Although the trees and slopes remind me of Mount Victoria, I don't recognize it at all. Juliet's nowhere to be seen. Sprawling sunlight means she couldn't join me here even if she wanted to. Even if she found me, I wonder if she's looking. Juliet, who always seemed so calm and put together, behind that mask she was hiding all these feelings. What else don't I know about her? What else has she been keeping to herself? Is it just more pain? An ice cold chill runs down my spine, making me shudder as I realize something else. She must have known too that my person was dead. She must have figured it out right away, yet she never told me. Aspen too. Suddenly every pained look or topic change whenever I brought up Jongin makes sense. They both knew and were hiding it from me all along. This whole time letting me go on and get my hopes up without ever stopping me or telling the truth. It was so simple too, so obvious. If I just thought about it for a bit myself, I'd have realized that humans live and die much faster than my kind do. Sighing, I sit down on the grass, wrapping my arms around my knees. I mash one palm into my eyes to wipe away the tears that are there.
Stop crying, Miho.
With a few deep breaths, I manage to fight away the stinging pressure and keep myself from breaking down even more. I sigh again once I'm certain it won't turn into a sob. Now that the initial shock has worn off, the pain in my heart has gone from a sharp stab to a dull throb. Aside from pure survival instinct, death has always been distant and faceless to me, but now I have to look it in the eye. My time with Jongin was short, thousands of times shorter than the time I've spent looking for them since then. Still, it was all I had. Where do I even go from here? The sun is getting higher, so Juliet must have made her way home by now. She might even be waiting for me to come back. We both know I have to at some point. It's getting hotter for me too. Shakily I rise to my feet and look around again, actually trying to get my bearings. If I have to, I can just go back in the direction I came from until I find somewhere familiar. I start walking back towards the library since it's the only place I have to go. I may think of it as home for now, but I can't help but picture Juliet's sobbing face. Immortal or not, there has to come a time someday where we don't see each other, and that will be the end of our memories together. Or at least, her memories of me. The same goes for Aspen, as mortal as Cosette. Aren't I just resigning myself to feeling this pain again someday, potentially even stronger? Maybe she was right, the other gumiho. Maybe I don't belong anywhere. Oh, Jesus Christ, okay! Please be happy, I'm begging. By the time I get back to the library, I'm exhausted from the walk and sun. I throw open the library door and go inside, walking past my empty seat at the front desk. Juliet's nowhere to be seen, only patrons. They've always managed just fine without me, though. Plodding up to my room, I grab my blanket from my bed and wrap it around myself before I lower myself to the floor. That's when the tears hit me again, and this time I can't hold them back. Slouching onto my side, I don't even try. There's no point. As I expected, in less than a minute there's a sound at my door. 3 knocks. Always 3.
Miho? Is that you? Are you alright?
I don't respond. I don't even know if I want to see Juliet right now. She's part of this too, after all. She pauses outside for a moment, but a few seconds later, Juliet opens the door anyway. The pity in her voice tells me everything I need to know. I can only imagine what I must look like. Covered in blankets and lying on the floor. I must look pathetic, childish. It must be how I always look to her.
Miho, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Juliet trails off, still just inside the door. I can see her legs and cane, but not her face. I can picture the concern on it, though.
Didn't mean to what?
The words come out as a growl, surprising even myself, but I can't pretend. Not now. She let herself in here, she can deal with it. The cane sways from side to side as she wrings her hands, almost knocking into the wall more than once.
Mean for you to put things together this way. Such a painful way. I wanted to...
So you did know.
I cut her off without thinking as she confirms my suspicions. With one arm I push myself up, letting the blanket fall away from my face as I glad daggers at Juliet.
Pardon?
You knew.
Slowly I rise to my feet. My head is pounding and I can hear my blood pumping as anger rises through me, bubbling out like liquid magma.
All this time they've been dead, and you knew, didn't you? You probably knew from the first time I told you about them, right?
She stiffens and then Juliet sighs deeply. It's all anyone ever seems to do around here.
I did. Yes.
Why? Why didn't you tell me?
Although tears are beginning to choke my voice again, I manage to shout out my question, my accusation.
I've been looking like such an idiot. I'm already an idiot compared to you and to Aspen. Every day I'm reminded of that. But this really takes the cake, doesn't it? I've been wasting my whole entire life over something everyone else can figure out right away.
Miho, it isn't like that.
Then why? Tell me why you didn't tell me sooner. Or Aspen. She knows too, right?
Juliet nods meekly. My eyes burn and my nose is running. My face hurts in every way possible.
We didn't know how.
Know how? What do you mean, know how?
I can't keep myself from shouting. I feel so stupid, so angry, and so sad.
Please, Miho, try to understand. We were still just getting to know you. You barely trusted Aspen or me. If we just told you that the person you were looking for was deceased, we didn't know how you'd take it. You might not even believe us, for one thing. Or perhaps it would give you cause to run away again. As the weeks went on, we wanted to, but it never seemed to be the right time. Neither of us wanted to be the one to, out of nowhere, bring your whole world crashing down. Not when you were trying so hard. You seemed so happy. It felt more cruel to ruin that in a way. I'm sorry, Miho.
You felt bad.
I truly am. It was wrong of me to let it go this long without saying anything, but believe me, I only hesitated out of love. Aspen and I both. We simply couldn't bring ourselves to break your heart that way.
Give her a good time. Okay, hold on. Gonna be a... fat lot of good that did. Juliet sniffles and I have to look away. I don't want to see her cry again. Not while I'm already like this. Stooping down to the floor, I pick my blanket back up and wrap it around myself again. Even as I do, I can't help but think of how it's not really my blanket. It's Juliet's. She just lets me use it, like everything else.
Go away.
Ooh. To my relief, she doesn't try to argue, doesn't even say anything else. She just nods and silently leaves the room. The second the door shuts behind her, I collapse into my bed, put my pillow over my face, and succumb to my grief. Everything hurts when I wake up, damn pillow still covering me. My face and head hurt from crying, and my body hurts from passing out in an uncomfortable position. I didn't even mean to fall asleep. I must have cried myself into it. The memories of yesterday don't even give me a chance to wake up before they flood my brain, pulling a groan out of me in response. I don't want to get up. I don't want to leave my bed. What's even the point? Still, I know I have to. I have to see Aspen within the next few hours, and Julia too, eventually. I don't know what to say or even what I want to hear. As much as I'd like to just avoid everything and everyone, the rational part of me knows that I can't. Instead, my magic and beat force me to conform like always. Either get up or be forgotten. It's not really much of a choice. I sluggishly get dressed and wipe down my face, which is still red from crying. Then I trot downstairs to where we'd normally be having breakfast. Except it's later than usual. There's food on a table for me, but it's long since cold, and I can hear the sounds of conversation and movement that mean the library's already open. Life goes on, with or without me. I cram down the slices of cold toast and browning apple without really tasting them, just knowing that I need the nourishment. Then I wander up to the front of the library where Juliet is seated in my spot at the desk. When she notices me approaching, I can see her struggle to decide how to greet me, uncertainty plain in her eyes. I can't decide either, so I just settle for a stiff nod.
Hey.
Good morning, Miho.
Her voice is awkwardly stilted. It seems out of place for Juliet. I gaze straight at the stack of books next to her and the half-filled checkout sheet.
You can go to bed. I can take over from here.
Juliet shakes her head, looking a little more confident in the motion.
No, it's all right. You're in no state to be working today. Let me handle it instead.
Really, it's fine.
My patron starts to approach the counter, a couple books in his hand. I start to reach for them, but Juliet stands up, blocking me off.
Good morning. All set to check out?
You can't just not have this conversation with me. I'm in no state to be working. What about you? I let my hand fall to my side. The person checking out books looks a little confused, but settles on talking to Juliet instead of me. Fine then. If she wants to, she can do it. She has the same practiced tone of voice when it comes to helping a stranger that Aspen does. Aspen calls it her customer service voice. To me, it's the same as how I'd sound when trying to deceive someone or get something out of them. The only difference is, I'm not sure I could pull mine off now, like she can. Then again, it seems like Juliet must have always been good at hiding her feelings. Wordlessly, I turn around and step out from behind the desk, passing by the guest on my way out the door. From the corner of my eye, I can see Juliet watching me as I go, even as she deftly handles the checkout. Please. Please, this is not the way. This is not how we want it to go. I assure you, this is not how you want it to go. Oh, goddammit. The fresh air is an instant relief, and I gulp it in as I stretch out my arms, just basking in the sun for a moment. I start walking to the Bell House because I need to see Aspen before it gets too late. Fortunately, we had a late breakfast yesterday, so I have a bit more leeway than usual. I do my best to keep my head empty on the way there, because if I let myself think, it'll turn bad. So instead, I just focus on putting out one foot in front of the other, and on paying the minimum amount of attention to my surroundings, just enough to get me there. Aspen herself is working the counter when I enter the cafe, and she waves eagerly when she sees me.
Oh, Miho! I was just thinking of taking my break early to come see you. Juliet said you were feeling a little under the weather this morning.
Yeah, that's one way to say how I'm feeling. I make my way up to the register, staring blankly at the menu. I could actually read some of it if I tried, but I'm not. You're late, why are we sad? Okay, to give you the short rundown, Juliet told us about the person who changed her life, right? Remember that? Turns out that was her daughter, one she had adopted after she was abandoned as a baby on her doorstep. Then we went to her grave because the daughter already died almost 2 decades ago. And we had this giant talk, like, where Juliet was like, you know, to die is to be human. And then everything kind of snapped in place for Miho that her person must have been dead for decades as well. And her entire life up to now was kind of useless. Like, she was searching for someone who's already dead. And everyone around her must have put the fact together. Except for her. So we had an argument, kind of, with Juliet. So we're not feeling very good. We're not feeling very good right now.
I can see what she means. Are you alright?
No, not really. I shrug.
Yeah, I'm fine.
It was bound to happen. I mean, I've been saying this, but it's also double whammy. It's like Miho realizing, you know, her person is dead, but the other thing is just Aspen and Juliet both kind of kept it from her because they didn't know how to breach the subject. So now Miho's even more so like, oh, so I'm the only stupid one. You knew and you didn't tell me. That kind of thing.
Let me get,
The names of the different drinks that I like all swirl around in my head, but somehow picking one feels like an impossible challenge. I wasn't actually planning to stay or get something to drink. I just started ordering out of habit.
whatever you recommend.
Frowning, Aspen taps something into the machine. I reach for my wallet, but she waves a hand to stop
It's
me.
on me. Go sit down and I'll bring you something soon.
Thanks.
Leaving her to that, I trudge to a booth and sit down, resting my head on my arms and closing my eyes. I could have just come inside and left again as soon as Aspen saw me, but I know that I wouldn't feel any better anywhere else I could choose to go. At least this way I get a free drink out of it. I don't open my eyes again until I hear the sound of Aspen setting a cup down in front of me before taking a seat herself.
Thanks. Again.
Sitting up, I have a taste of whatever it is Aspen brought me. It's scalding hot and bitter.
What's in this?
Coffee!
Okay, yeah, I kind of expected that.
What else?
Espresso? You look like you need it.
Isn't that just more coffee? Gingerly, I take another sip, bracing myself against the heat this time.
One of your recipes?
No, I don't know who invented it, but it's been my go-to for years when I need a pick-me-up. Don't you feel more awake now?
The problem is not being awake. The aftertaste lingers in my mouth, but I drink some more anyway.
Unfortunately.
Ooh.
Then it's doing its job. You really do look a mess, though. Were you crying?
No, her eyes have always been red on the corners. As soon as Aspen takes a second to look at my face, I see her take on that same look of concern as Juliet. I raise my cup to my lips again just to hide myself.
Yeah?
There's an awful scraping sound as Aspen slides her chair a little closer to mine, taking one of my hands in hers. I pull away immediately.
Sorry, I should have asked first. What's wrong? Did I do something?
Her face starts to redden and I already know what's coming next.
It's fine.
I don't know how to respond, so instead I opt for a question that's been lingering on my mind.
Do you know who Cosette is?
Cosette? No, I don't believe I know the name. Is she a friend of yours?
Oh, that's a massive show of trust from Juliet though. Aspen doesn't know about Cosette, but we know. We know.
No. Don't worry about it.
If Aspen doesn't know, I'm not going to be the one to tell her. Still, it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that Juliet never mentioned her before, even though the two of them are supposedly close friends. You're gonna just sit your friend down one day. I know you're sitting on your life here, but I'm about to break it all down. Oh, I get it. I get it. I'm not saying either of them is in the right or in the wrong. The problem right now is just they need to both like take a step towards each other and try to sit down and talk it through. Because if they're gonna close each other off, like, you know, with Miho or with Julia just basically being like, oh, you're in no position to work, you can't do this. Like, that's not how it's gonna work. You need to talk it through. They can get through this, but they need to talk it through. Because of course it's gonna feel like they what's the word? Betrayed her sense of trust. It's like, oh, I was the only, like, I can understand Miho here. So I was the only stupid one. I was the one clinging to this hope of finding my person again. And the other two just look at her like with pity, but they're not coming out to actually be like, hey, you know, you won't be able to find your person. You have to look at it realistically. Your person is already dead. Like, Sure, of course that's not an easy subject to broach. But I can understand Mio's frustration here. Natari's just asking for things to worsen. It is. It always is. I know it's easy to say aside from the fact that this is a game and someone wrote the story, but it's easy to say this as someone who's not actually involved. We're looking at it from an outsider's view. We just see both of these people, and we see at least one person's inner thoughts. But still, talking is so important. I wish people would do that more.
I found out my person is dead.
And the music stops. Although I've been sitting with that thought for hours now, it's the first time I've said the words out loud. To my own surprise, they come out as steady as everything else. At least I don't feel like I'm going to cry.
Oh.
Finally, I glance at Aspen herself. Just like Juliet, I can see her eyes widen and mouth drop as she tries to think of something more to say.
And you knew, didn't you?
Her hand toys uselessly with an abandoned straw wrapper on the table.
I suspected as much, yes.
I sigh, not surprised at all. I don't even have the energy to be that upset compared to when I was dealing with Juliet.
I'm sorry,
It's okay. Juliet already said it.
Well, I'm saying it too. I'm sorry. It seems you probably didn't find out in the best way. Not that there is a best way. That was why we were afraid to tell you. We didn't know how... Actually, I'm just going to stop talking.
Really? It's fine.
I cut her off flatly before she can start over-apologizing. Being apologized to makes me uncomfortable, like an itch I can scratch. Putting my chin in my hands, I look out the window to the sunny day outside. It's as nice as it ever is here.
I just wish you would have told me.
In our reflection, I see Aspen nod.
If it makes you feel any better, we were going to, soon. We'd already decided, but not on how. I assume Juliet told you.
More or less, yeah. She said something that made me figure it out.
I see.
Both of them just accepted my being upset so easily. Neither of them tried to argue or anything, just apologized. I'm not sure how I feel about that, just like I'm not sure if Aspen's words make me feel better or not. But also I have to ask what I'm getting out of doing this to myself and to her and to Juliet. Sitting here silently, stirring in my emotions, what felt like burning rage last night now feels less explosive. I do wish they'd been more honest with me, but they were both just trying to be nice. It's not like I haven't done the things they were afraid of before, like run away. When that's the case, it's really okay to still be upset with them. I mean, you are right to be upset. But as they always say, I guess it's... you have to let it go at some point, but that does not mean your feelings right now are not valid. Sorting through complicated emotions is difficult. I like when things are straightforward, and I know to be sad. I know to be sad or mad or something else. Right now, seeing how sad it's also made Juliet and now Aspen doesn't make me feel better either. If nothing else, I should at least tell them how I feel, or try to. Closing my eyes for a beat, I make my first real decision since leaving for Cosette's grave with Juliet yesterday.
Are you busy tonight? I want to talk with you and Juliet.
Communication! Yeah! I've said it before, right? Miscommunication is one of my most disliked tropes. For a good reason. She stalls at the sound of my voice. I guess she didn't expect me to say anything else.
I'll be there. Just tell me when.
I don't know yet. I have to ask Juliet, but I'll have her let you know.
Okay, that works for me.
I stand up slowly and Aspen does the same. I can tell from the way she's still fidgety and nervous though that something's bothering her. There's a tiny pop as she snaps the paper straw wrapper in half.
Can you tell me one thing though? Are you leaving?
She's really worried about that, isn't she? I feel a bit more confident about one thing as I shake my head.
No, I won't go anywhere.
Aww. Alright, let's have a talk then. In the botanical garden? After getting back to the library, I made the same request to Juliet about being able to talk together. Not only did she agree, she suggested that we go somewhere else, just for a change of pace. Communication from the person who was alone for a long time. Interesting how that turns out. Yeah. She's really strong. I like Miho a lot. We shared a quiet taxi ride up to the botanic garden not far from Cosette's grave. Neither of us tried to talk, which suited me fine. I spent the whole ride trying to think about what I wanted to say. I imagine Juliet did the same thing. The taxi driver drops us off as close to the entrance as possible, tipping his hat in thanks as Juliet pays him before driving away, leaving the two of us mostly alone. There are a few people around, but more of them are leaving than entering at this time of the evening. One of these people, a figure sitting on a bench reading, stands up and approaches us. When they step into the light, it turns out to be Aspen.
It's certainly a new feeling to be the one waiting, instead of waited for. Hi, Aspen.
Good evening, Aspen. I hope we didn't keep you waiting for long.
No, not at all. Besides, I can hardly complain when it gives me an opportunity to catch up on some reading. I thought about exploring the gardens a little, but I wasn't sure I'd be able to find my way back out.
There are worse places to be lost, at least. Thank you for indulging my request to come here in the first place.
It was a good idea. Not to say the library's gotten boring, but we never really go anywhere else.
I mean, if I had a friend who owned a library, an extensive one like that, I would probably go to the library all the time as well. Just saying. I feel better now than I did this morning, at least enough to make a couple jokes. A lot of things still weigh heavily on my mind, but I'm determined not just be an emotionless rock. That wouldn't help anyone.
Precisely. I've never been here before either, so I'm eager to see the gardens.
It's been a while since I've been here myself, but I believe I remember a nice spot I used to visit with.
Instead of finishing her sentence, Juliet simply begins walking. Her cane makes a steady click-click sound as it taps against the stone path. Aspen reads off some of the signs that we pass by, signs of which I of course have never given a second glance at. Signs which I... You know what that said.
Gully. That sounds rather poetic. Perhaps I'll use it in a story sometime. Ah, Pine Hill Path too. Whoever named these gardens was having fun, weren't they?
Juliet still seems preoccupied, not ignoring us, but not seeming to pay much attention either. She does wait while Aspen pauses to read one of the big signs that talk about the gardens. She writes a little bit in a notebook, then scurries back to us. Oh, finally! A person who actually reads the fucking sign! I'm the only one. On all family trips I've ever taken, with any part of my family, and we go to a museum or we go to a botanical garden or whatever, I'm the only fucking person in my family who actually stops to read the signs. And then someone will ask like, oh, what's this? And I go, says right there. This is a ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Oh, how did you know that? It says right there. If you would open your eyes and read the fucking sign, you too would be filled with more knowledge. And it's fun. I hate when people rush through a place without, like, someone had to sit down and read and, like, write all of that information. Why not read it? Why not read it? Why ignore it? And then be like, oh, I wonder what that is. Read!
Sorry, one of the photos there caught my eye and I wanted to take some notes for further research.
You try to read the signs, you tend to be slow reading, so always fear getting left behind. No. People need to take their time, man. So you just copy it off of Wikipedia. I don't care. If it's there and it's on a sign to give me more information, I will read it, even if it was the exact same thing as on Wikipedia. And I will wait for other people if they read slowly. That does, like, why would you go somewhere if you're not going to appreciate the place? I'm going to take my time going through there. I can wait around for a few signs.
I hadn't realized there was more to this park than just this one garden.
Really? Like what?
There's an old estate for one thing. Also another garden just for native plants.
Ooh.
There's even a cemetery not far away that's apparently part of it.
Ah. The steady rhythm of Juliet's cane misses a beat, but she keeps walking. After a short uphill stroll, we reach our destination. A small brick path juts off the main road, leading to an overlook covered by a glass roof. There are a handful of benches around, but all of them are unoccupied.
Would this do?
Oh, Juliet, it's breathtaking.
I have to agree. Aspen walks slowly to the edge of the overlook, pressing her hand against the glass as she looks out over the view. I stand beside her and do the same. We're higher up than I thought, with a good view of the rest of the botanic garden from here. I even spot the main gate, far across the same rolling green hills that I noticed a couple days ago tower over us. Though she smiles, Juliet doesn't join us, instead sitting down on one of the benches.
What do you think, Miho? How does it compare to some of the sights you've seen?
It's pretty nice. I like the view from up on Mount Victoria better, though.
Oh, it's been quite a while since I went up there. Perhaps I should see it myself sometime and compare.
You should. You can see the library from the top. I used to go up there to clear my head, before I started living at the library.
I'll be sure to invite you along, then.
She lingers for just a moment more, gazing out at the darkening sky before taking a seat on the bench across from Juliet. Only I stay standing, pacing back and forth. Despite the pleasant chatter just a moment ago, now that we're all here and settled, both Aspen and Juliet sit quietly but expectantly, waiting for me to speak first. Since I was the one who asked them to come here, it falls for me to start a conversation, but where to even begin? I've been thinking about that all day, and I've decided that maybe I should just start at the beginning. The very beginning.
I never told you anything about my person, right? About Changin.
They both shake their heads. Taking a deep breath and clearing my throat, I close my eyes and cast my mind back to the forest all those years ago.
I was just a regular fox back then. I don't know how old I was. Foxes don't think like that. All we know about is eating snacks and lying in the sun. That was all I really did, all day long. No hobbies or jobs or responsibilities. Just existing. I knew what humans were in the same way I knew what leopards and bears were. Big and scary and something to avoid. It was rare to see one in the forest, but it happened. Most of the time, they were noisy enough that you could hear them coming from far away and hide. That was the first thing that was different about my person, Changin. I was taking a nap in one of my favorite spots, an old log that had fallen over. Changin came all the way over and sat down before they woke me up. And when they did, I panicked. I ran and hid as fast as I could. I think they were surprised too. They didn't try to catch me or stop me. Instead, they kept their distance and tossed me a little bit of the meat they were eating. I didn't trust them and didn't know why they were sharing, but it smelled pretty good. So I grabbed the food and ran away, and eventually they left.
This fox apparently knows what leopards are.
When I went back to my log the next day, Changin showed up again too. I ran away again, but they still didn't chase me and let me come back on my own. We did the same thing the next day, and the next day, and the next. Then, one day, I was in a new part of the forest. I liked wandering around even as a fox. I wasn't paying attention to where I was going, when suddenly, it felt like my leg was on fire. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I'd walked right into a trap that a hunter left. I couldn't move as much as I tried, and it's still the scariest thing that ever happened to me. I was sure I was gonna die. Finally, Changin showed up. At first, I thought they were there to finish me off. Instead, they were worried for me. They knelt down and got my foot out of the trap, and then wrapped it with a part of their shirt to stop it from bleeding. That was when I finally figured out they weren't going to hurt me. I kept going to the grove to see them, and they kept being there. I let them get close enough to touch me after that. Still, they didn't do it much. It was only to check on my leg and make sure it was healing okay. One day I went, and they were waiting like always, but they brought a lot more food than usual. And they gave it all to me, hardly eating anything themselves. After I was finished, we sat together for a while. They sat on my log, and I laid in the grass nearby. Finally, they got up like usual and set two things on the ground. One was a bag of food, the same as they had just given me. The other was a little paper scroll. They patted me on the head for the first and only time. Then they left our grove. At the time, I didn't think that day was anything special, other than the extra snacks.
But they never showed up again after that day?
But it was the last time I'd ever see them. When I came back the next day, they weren't there. I waited, just in case they were late, but they never showed up. The scroll they left and some of the food were still there. Other animals had taken a lot of the food, but they didn't want the paper.
Are you happy
I took the
yet?
scroll
Or
with me when I left. I didn't know what it was. but
I'm
it
not
was
very
theirs,
happy right now,
so It
no.
had to be important. My only option was to carry it in my mouth. I went back again the next day, expecting them to show up, but they never did. I don't know how many more days it took before I realized they weren't coming back. Once I did, it was all I could think about. I kept looking for them, but I couldn't find them, as much as I wanted to. I didn't even know why I wanted to see them so badly. Just that I did. While I was thinking about that, I started to choke. Something came out of nowhere and was stuck in my throat. Finally, I coughed it up. A bead. I'd never seen it before, and definitely never swallowed it. I left it and went back to my den, but it was waiting for me there too. No matter where I went, it was always waiting. So finally, I touched it with my nose. Everything after that happened so fast. 1 second I was there, just a normal fox. The next, I was in this new form. Not sure how or why. Some things came to me naturally, like using my new body and walking on 2 feet, and even how to turn back into a fox. But I still thought like an animal and acted like one. I didn't know any words that I could even think with. I had to learn those, and all kinds of other human behaviors the hard way, after getting chased away from villages and strangers that I met. Over time, I learned how to hide and blend in, and steal, and just how to survive. I followed Jungin's scent all the way to the ocean. I'd never seen so much water, not even close. I had no idea how huge it was. I boarded a ship like Jungin had, not knowing that it would take me somewhere different than the one they took. And I've been looking for them ever since.
When I open my eyes again, they're heavy with tears, but this time I don't try to hide them. I didn't mean to talk for so long, but once I started remembering, everything else just came naturally. Turning to face Aspen and Juliet, I see that they're crying too.
Oh, Miho.
Oh,
They sound like they were a wonderful person.
I can see why you never stopped searching for them. They were truly special, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they really were.
Remembering how the hand felt on my head and the softness of the touch as they inspected my leg, those thoughts hurt as much as the hunter's trap did, but also they make me smile too. I've often worried that they might have forgotten me, but I don't think they did. They only knew me as a fox before I had any magic, so the memory should have stayed intact. Those days weren't long, but they were special, to me and I hope to Jongin too. And so I don't want to let them become painful memories. I want to smile when I think about them.
Anyway, I'm sorry for getting so mad at you yesterday, Juliet. And for how I acted this morning with you, Aspen. I know that you both just wanted to keep me from getting hurt. But that's another thing, too. It feels like you're always looking after me, or taking care of me. There are lots of things I'm still learning, but I'm not weak. I've taken care of myself for a long time, you know. So, I don't want it to be like that anymore.
Yeah, feels patronizing, huh?
I want you to be honest with me from now on, both of you. Even if it's something that would make me sad or angry. I promise that I won't run away without saying anything. I won't just disappear no matter what happens. Because if we're really friends, then we should trust each other, right?
No.
That's one of the things I've learned.
Having said everything I wanted to, I finally sat down, taking a spot between the two of them, just like at breakfast every morning. For a second, the three of us sit there quietly. Then Juliet begins to speak.
I hear what you say, Miho. And I agree. You're not the only one still learning things, you know? I have a long way to go too. For years, I felt it for the best to remain open, but guarded. If I maintained a comfortable distance, even from those I call my dearest friends, then I would be protecting myself. By never getting to know anyone too well, by withholding any meaningful details of my life, I thought to avoid the pain of loss again. But all I've done is keep myself from experiencing that joy of companionship again, while even causing hurt to others. I'm not too experienced when it comes to being honest myself. Or perhaps only honest to a point. But you're right, Miho. That isn't how it should be. From here on out, I'll endeavor to be more open, more real, with both of you. For myself, and for you.
Juliet looks in our direction, but in particular at Aspen right now.
As such, Aspen, there's something that I'd like to tell you.
She begins telling Aspen about Cosette in much the same way she told me yesterday. I sit quietly and think about what she said. Hearing Juliet describe herself reminds me of me. In the end, we've both always been running away, haven't we? Despite how perfect and put together Juliet always seemed, she's actually been struggling just as much. She was just better at hiding it than me. As Juliet recounts the woe she made in honor of Cosette, I see Aspen is listening with rapt attention, like when she gets really absorbed in one of her books. When Juliet finishes her story, both of them have to wipe their eyes. Aspen rummages around in her bag and pulls out a small pack of tissues, offering one to Juliet before noisily blowing her nose and wiping her eyes.
God, that's certainly a lot to take in. Thank you for telling me though. Cosette sounds like she was a wonderful person, just like Johnine. I wish I could have met her.
Aspen being the only human here is gonna definitely be a pain at some point, I feel. Like, emotional pain, I mean.
I wish you could have as well. She would have had endless stories to recount. And
What animals Juliet again? Juliet is a vampire. She's not an animal at all, she's a vampire. Bat! She can turn into a bat, I think.
As for all the other stuff, first of all, I promise, to both of you, I want us to be truly friends as well.
No.
I don't have anything quite so dramatic in my past, but I certainly know how it feels to be performative.
That's good, that's good.
I can hardly fault you for curating your self-image when I do the same thing.
You weren't there when you all learned that. It's okay, I'm sorry. No, she's a vampire. What we learned earlier is also apparently she wasn't a vampire all the time. She became a vampire at some point, she told us earlier, but I don't know what that means yet.
It's kind of funny, actually, and a little scary.
It's extreme straight to jail.
No.
No.
Because as someone who will one day be past tense, I often wonder about how I'll be remembered when I'm gone. Not that I expect that to be anytime soon, but still, I hope that someone speaks of me just as fondly someday.
Aww.
There will be more than enough time for me to worry about that in the future, though. Right now, I'm glad we had this conversation.
Great!
It was worth the near panic attack I had earlier, wondering what would be said tonight.
Me too. I still have a lot to think about, and I'm still sad, but I don't want to be sad forever. I know it's not what they would have wanted for me either, but I do know that I'm lucky I met you two, and that you're my friends. I want it to stay like that.
My cheeks burned from saying something like that out loud for the first time ever, but I liked saying it because it's true. Although I'd already made up my mind to say, it's sitting here in the middle of the gardens that I know I made the right decision. For all the doubts I had, all the struggles, I'm thankful that it happened, and I can finally admit that to myself. Make you guess what the scroll says? Oh no, I haven't really thought about that.
I haven't actually thought about what the scroll is gonna say. I wonder if they'll find out, actually.
Hello, hello! How you doing?
Maybe it won't turn out the way I expected, but for once I'm content with my life right now.
Well said. And don't worry, Miho. We're not going anywhere.
Even if it's not always perfect, it doesn't need to be. Just like Juliet.
Oh, Miho, I'm glad too. The first time you stepped into the Bell
You'd be
House
surprised if
was
you're
one of the
wrong.
luckiest
Okay.
days of my life.
Now keep your guesses to yourself then. And then we'll see. Once we actually arrive there at some point. So we'll see. All I have to do is keep trying, like Aspen. So maybe another first time would be appropriate. Oh, you want short hair? What's happening tonight? My god. Wrong button. Wrong button. Oh my god. Okay. Short hair with a bunch of steps. Hopping up from the bench, I grab Aspen's hand and Juliet's hand and pull them to their feet too. Me, who has two hands. Then, spreading my arms as wide as I can, I pull them both into a hug. It was so fucking cute. What the hell? Takes a million screenshots for real. Wait, can I hide the text? Hold on. No. Help. Hide the UI at any time by pressing H. Okay. That was... What the heck? Okay. I do not know what... This is not on the same button as my screenshot should be. Why the hell did the hair change? Okay. Without hesitation, I feel them embrace me in return. From the first day at the cafe all the way to now, it's chilly out here in the gardens in the cool evening air, but it's warm in Aspen and Juliet's arms, and I smile to myself, and to them, and to anyone who may be watching.
Mine too.
Oh my god! Thank you! After spending a bit more time walking around the gardens last night, Juliet and I went back to the library, and Aspen took a bus back to our apartment. Once we got back, I fell asleep almost immediately, my brain finally getting some relief from all of the emotions of the last few days. In the morning, once I go downstairs for breakfast, it's pleasantly familiar. Toast, eggs, and fruit like always, and conversation about books and work in Wellington. After cleaning up, but before Aspen departs, Juliet clears her throat.
By the way, Aspen,
Oh.
I do believe this weekend is a special occasion. Am I correct?
What's happening? Is it her birthday?
I had been trying to ignore that until now, but yes.
That doesn't sound like your birthday. Are you not happy about your birthday?
Wait, what? What happened?
Is it something to do with your books?
This Friday?
It is a birthday! Haha!
A brutal reminder that, like we just discussed,
Aspen's
time
getting
waits
old.
for me.
I wonder how old Aspen is, actually. How old are you gonna...
Whoa! Humans have parties for that.
Come on, tell me. I want to
Are
know.
you gonna have a party?
The other two don't really count. Like, even if you tell me they're several hundreds of years old, that's like, okay. I want to know how old Aspen is.
No, I'm not turning 12.
Oh, come on. Don't be such a spoiled sport.
How old are you turning? Not 12?
How old, girl?
I thought parties were a thing you got to do your
Come
whole life.
Tell me.
That's not fair that only 12-year-olds get to have them.
It's not like that. They're just one of those things that you grow out of.
I wouldn't say that's true. I still like to celebrate my birthday. What the fuck?
Why?
Why what?
Why do you grow out of them?
Her brow gets some more creases, like she's trying to explain this as much to herself as to me.
It's just part of being an adult. You get older and older and you reach the real world and then you don't feel like having a party, I suppose.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a birthday party in the sense that it was when you were a child, where you kind of invited every single child from school you knew because that's just what you did, even if you liked them or not. You can just hang out with people you really like for that specific day. And then turn your phone to mute because you get 15 calls from every single family member that has ever remembered that you exist this one particular day, even when you don't talk the entire rest of the year.
When you're young, it's exciting getting older because there's so much.
You
can't
sound
do
like you're
as a
turning
child.
40, Aspen. Come on! Live a little.
Once you're an adult, you realize that what you thought adult life would be like
That's true.
isn't real.
She's right about that, but still, come on.
So instead of being excited
Aspen's turning 30.
and ice cream, you start worrying about how
Yeah,
many
have a
calories
cake,
are
right?
each.
Oh, come on.
What's a calorie?
What's a calorie?
Never mind.
You know, Miho has a point.
She does?
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
You're never too old to have fun, as you both went out of your way to remind me. 25 can be just as much a reason to celebrate as 5.
25. Just like me, for real.
I suppose you're right. For the record, I'm only turning
Fuck.
24. Thank
Never
you very
mind.
much.
I'm older than her.
Still, I'm not the partying type. Plus, I told my parents I'd go visit them this weekend.
Juliet, how can you fuck up her age?
Just for a day, mind. I'll be back well before 24 hours have passed.
I thought you guys were best friends. How do you say, oh, 25 can be just as much reason to celebrate as 5? Or maybe she just said that as a general thing. Do you prefer younger or older people? That's not really a thing I think of.
That's wonderful. I'm sure they'll be overjoyed to see you.
I just find it very funny that no matter how old I get, we keep getting games, and like, I don't do this on purpose, we keep getting games where some type of character, if not the main character, is the same age as I am right now. It's always very, alright. Except for when we go back to playing the games that have teenagers save the world, obviously. You're worried about getting older 24, what is this, the 80s? Yeah! The 1800s?
I'm sure they will be, at least for a little while. I still wouldn't want to stay for more than a weekend, even without Miho to keep in
Do
mind.
you not get along with your parents?
Longer than that, and my mum and I would probably go crazy.
Oh.
I'm not leaving Welly until late Saturday evening, though.
So we'll see you off, so you have until late Sunday evening to come back?
Would you mind going with me to the bus stop on that day, Miho?
Yeah.
Just to be extra safe.
Yeah, of course.
Sounds good.
Even without a party, would you let us treat you to dinner on Friday evening? We can go wherever you like.
That would be nice. Thank
Her
you.
voice. We can go wherever you like. Ooh.
No gifts, though. It won't be a party.
Okay, damn.
That's easy, because they wouldn't know what to get you anyway. Where do you want to go?
I'm not sure yet, but I'll let you two know. Maybe you can come over on Friday evening, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Come over? Where?
Her apartment, where she lives, which we've never seen because she always comes here.
To my apartment? I do have my own place to live, you know. And, well, it isn't anything special, but I felt I should at least let you two see it. Only if you want to.
Of course I want to!
I mean it. It's the definition of average. I'm not
It's
even
okay.
sure if it can fit 3 people.
It's okay. Even if it's a small apartment, you can fit 3 people, believe me. But I have an apartment that's, what, not even 24 square meters, and I fit more than 3 people in here. You can make it work.
I lived in a dirt hole for most of my life.
Also,
I can handle
Miho is a fox,
anything.
yeah.
Good point. You'll feel right at home then.
I'd love to come visit as well. Thank you for the invitation.
Do you think Juliet is not allowed to go into buildings unless she's invited because she's a vampire? Do you think they're adhering to that?
Great.
Sure you don't
I'll
live in a
go now and
shoebox?
Make sure the cats are on their best behavior. It's been quite a while since
Cats!
we've had company.
She has cats.
I can't wait!
The 3 of us chit-chat for a little bit longer until it's time for us all to split up for the day.
Miho, do you have any plans for the day?
No, not really.
Not yet. Why?
I was planning to go see a movie soon. Would you like to come with me?
That sounds fun, but I'm unsure if we can fit that into stream tonight. She's cats and hasn't talked about them at all. Not much of a cat lady. I'm surprised. Yeah, this is the first time she's mentioned she has cats. Like, what the fuck?
You're more than welcome too, of course, Juliet, but I imagine it's rather late for you.
Unfortunately so. I'll be up a while longer, but I wouldn't be able to make it through an entire movie. I hope...
I understand.
Ah.
Miho? It's fine if you don't want to come along, but the showing starts in an hour, so we'd need to leave soon. I prefer to get there before it's crowded.
Ah. Oh, is this how you get on a route? No, not yet, right? This is not. What was this choice? Why did I save here? Yeah. This seems like kind of an important thing. Do you have to watch the Terminator with Aspen? Yeah. I mean, I said I would go for Aspen first time around, so I'll just try every single choice that leads to spending time with Aspen. But
Sure, I'll go. It's like watching a really big TV, right?
Precisely.
no, the actual choice route splitting choice is not this one yet. It's a little later apparently.
See ya!
Good night!
Okay, we're gonna attempt to go on that movie date then. See how far we get. With that, Juliet waves goodbye and goes to
Are
bed.
you ready to go?
Yes!
Yep, I am.
Aspen leads the way outside and down the road.
So what movie are we gonna see?
It's based off a book that I read a long time ago.
Oh, horror movie!
Should mention that it's a horror movie. That won't be a problem for you, right?
Nah, it's fine. What's a horror movie?
A scary movie. This one's about a creepy clown that terrorizes a small town.
What, you gonna watch it?
A clown? How is that scary?
Well, he's not a regular clown, although those are frightening enough on their own. You'll just have to see.
Thank you for sharing my brain cell, Barry.
Alright. I didn't know you liked scary things.
The certified coward to watch a horror movie.
I don't watch them that often, but like I said, I read the book a long time ago, so I always know
I've
what
seen
happens.
it one time actually, just recently is the wrong word, like maybe 2 years ago, over the friend's place, because sometime after the second one came out, right? And I was watching it with a friend and another friend, and they've both seen the movie before, and I was sitting there like, it's not for me.
It's just interesting to see how well it gets translated to the screen. If it ends up being too much for you, just let me know. Not everyone has the stomach for these sorts of films.
It's not my kind of thing.
Okay.
The movie theater's on the same street as the Bell House, but a lot further down. It's the one that Juliet showed me before. Back then, I told her that I didn't think I'd be interested in scary movies, but here I am anyway. It's not something I'd go to see by myself, though. Aspen pays for both our tickets, saying I can just pay her back later. We go inside through a pair of glass doors like the ones at the museum.
Do you want any snacks?
Of course! What do they have?
Oh, God. The only snack I allow myself at the movie theater is popcorn, and even then it's popcorn I share with whoever I go with. I don't usually go to the cinema on my own, because it's just, hello, expensive. I'd rather sneak my own snacks in. I'm not paying all that money for some stupid overpriced snacks for a movie.
Well, traditionally you have popcorn.
You sneak them
You
in.
also have candy
Hello?
and other things.
Oh,
too.
you're not allowed to bring that in here. Ha! You won't even see what I can't sneak in.
If you'd like, we can share some popcorn.
Sounds good.
Oh.
I've never had popcorn.
But sharing
from a
popcorn is
machine
fun.
like that before.
I'm not the type to eat during a movie, though. I always eat it all before the movie, because if I were to try and eat it during the movie, I wouldn't be able to hear anything anymore, so...
Let's change that then.
Aspen goes up to the counter and places our order while I wait nearby. A minute later, she approaches me carrying an enormous tub of popcorn. It's at least as big as my head, ears and all.
Whoa, that's huge!
I like that she counts her ears.
Considering how much they charge for it, it's only fair. Come on, let's go sit down.
I follow her down a hallway and go into another door where I finally get my first look at the movie screen.
Whoa, that's huge too!
It makes my TV look like a toy in comparison. In fact, it's probably bigger than my entire room. That's what she said. We go up some stairs and then sit down in one of the back rows near the middle. Aspen holds the bucket of popcorn in her lap and grabs a handful right as something starts to play on the screen. Immediately my ears are assaulted by blaring music and booming speech with the sound coming from all around. I instinctively cover my ears at first.
Is it supposed to be this loud?
I have to yell just to make myself heard.
Yes, but we're not. It's like the library. These are just previews for other movies that are coming out soon. But
A large
once
box
the
of
real
popcorn, so
thing
can you finish that
starts,
before the
you're
movie
not
begins?
supposed to
Ah.
talk.
I found out with one specific friend of mine. Every time we went to the movies, we would get a medium-sized popcorn to share because we both like sweet popcorn. And every single time we wouldn't be able to finish it, so every time we told ourselves, let's get a small one next time. Then we don't go for months. And we're there again, we're like, hey, should we get a medium? Yeah, we're 2 people. Yeah, we should get a medium, right? And it ends up the same. Every single time. Not a scroll person instead, she figured it out. I have no idea where the story's going. I guess we're doing a romance thing. Didn't seem like a romance began. Ah. Oh no, the romance is like really only gonna start now, I guess. I'm not sure how romantic in that sense it's gonna get though. Or if it's more about Miho like growing into a person. Like who's actually taking part in society. That kind of thing.
Although, it's not like there are many other people around that we'd be disturbing.
We could sneak a kiss, but we're not that far yet. She's right, we're the only people in the theater right now. This must be why she wanted to see the movie this early in the day. Eventually I get used to the volume level. I grab a handful of popcorn from the bucket to munch on, and I'm surprised by how tasty it is.
Whoa! This?
I slap my other hand over my mouth to shut myself up, which makes Aspen laugh. She leans over to whisper.
It's fine. We won't bother anyone. It's just good to know for the next time you see a movie.
Oh. Okay. This is really good.
We sit through a few minutes worth of previews before a movie finally begins. Aspen and I, mostly me if I'm being honest, are almost halfway through the popcorn already. The movie gets right into the action. Within the first couple minutes, the clown Aspen mentioned is already causing chaos. I thought clowns were supposed to be funny, but apparently this one didn't get the memo. I'm not bored, but I'm not exactly scared either. At one point, there's a loud bang as the evil clown jumps out of the darkness. Beside me, Aspen jumps in her seat, almost spilling the popcorn on the floor. Embarrassed, she wraps her arms tight around it so it doesn't happen again. The movie lasts a lot longer than I expected. By the time we leave, it's almost lunchtime, although I'm too full of popcorn to be hungry. Stepping out into the sunlight, I notice Aspen's face is pale and she wipes her hands on her blouse.
So, how did you like it?
It was alright. I don't think I was ever very scared though.
That's good. I thought I would be okay since I knew what was going to happen.
She's not that good with horror
It
either, is
startled
she?
me a few times.
Yeah, I noticed.
At one point, she was even covering her eyes.
Well, there's a reason I don't watch those types of movies very often. I'm glad you had a nice time though.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Maybe next time we can see something that's easier to watch.
Finally, Aspen manages a smile.
Yes, I'd like that.
That's nice. Oh! Haha! Okay, would you look at that? That's perfect. That is perfect. I'm gonna use this chance to save right there. Ha 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 ha. And also for my main save. I'm saving all of these here because I'm unsure if like there's a difference between which thing you visit. If you get different texts, blah blah. So we'll see about that. No, I would like to go to the title. Yes, to the title. Good. Perfect for what? You're not ending, are you? I am, because you're going to see me again in 2 hours. I have 2 streams planned today. Also, thank you for the bet. I have 2 streams planned today. We're gonna finish with Please Be Happy here. I can't make it one long stream. For one, because I still have stuff to do in between, and 2, I still need to like set up for the collab later. So we're gonna stop here. I get food. We go live together now. What? Huh? No, we said. What do you mean? No, I said 9. I said 7 p.m. my time. Okay, we're definitely. Oh, I meant 7 p.m. my time. Okay, we're definitely stopping here then, because you will see me again in an hour. I hate time zones. I use a fucking convert and everything you're telling me I still converted it wrong. The plan was 7 p.m. my time. Time saving shenanigans? Oh, that could be it. Oh, I did not think about daylight savings. Ah, fuck. Because we don't have them here yet. Daylight savings is next weekend for us, right? Germany, I think. Okay. Well, fun. I love that. But yeah, there's no daylight. No, there's only the moon. Oh man. You got at 2 p.m. Oh god, I'm so sorry, Mary. It's okay. It's okay. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's gonna be it for Please Be Happy today. We're getting close to the root split off, I think. Like, they definitely talked out some problems tonight. I'm glad we got through that. And then next time we'll probably get started on Aspen's route. And go for her. Oh, by the way. Hi, Room. Both of them have a comfy and a wild ending. I don't really know what that is supposed to mean. But we I don't know, like once we reach the first choice, because like there's 3 choices, and depending on what you choose for each, you get the different endings. We can go for whichever one you guys want to see first, I think. Because we're definitely gonna see both of them anyway. Just in time that I'll be ending for now. Nah, but I'm so happy I'm playing this game. Like it's such a different vibe. Thank you for the pet. Such a different vibe to all of the horror mystery stuff we've played recently. Not that I don't enjoy that. I know I think I say this every single time recently, but it's nice to be playing something happy again right now. Or just something more colorful. Happy? Unsure with all of the big crying and being mad earlier, but still overall very happy. Glad we're doing that. I do have some Better to TV stuff. Yeah, I do. Not a lot. A few things that I thought were cute. But yeah, that is gonna be it for now. Not for tonight. It's not even night yet, but for now. We'll see each other in a bit with Escape Simulator together with Barry, where you can once again be like, oh my god, Noah, you're so fucking stupid. We're hopefully not gonna be stuck on more chemical solution puzzles, because those were horrible. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Please be happy. We'll continue the game as usual next week. I think next week should have us back at the usual. But I'll post a schedule sometime later after the collab, so we have some time. It's Chat combines power into one giant brain cell. How about exactly? Everyone bring their share of brain cells they can offer, and then we'll do it. We'll get it. Somehow we'll make it. I believe in all of us. If we all work together, we may have one brain cell that works. But thank you for streaming. You'll be there for more of the next one. Yeah. All right, then. Thank you so much for coming by. I'll see you all in a little bit. Have a great Sunday. I don't really know how to say bye now that I know that I'm just gonna stream in a few more hours. This is where we're an hour to two apparently. Two hours. Because we're going by my time because Barry is way too nice to me. Your brain cells are gone since last week. Damn. It's okay. Maybe someone else will bring some more. In 2 hours. 2 hours. We're playing Escape Simulator, and I post about it on Twitter and on the Discord, so you get notifications and stuff as well. But yeah, thank you so much for coming by. Please be happy. I'll see you all in a bit. Have a great Sunday, and until later. Bye bye. Wait, no, hold on. I haven't set up a rate. Oh my god, I'm so. I'm gonna send you guys over to Sagi. Sagi is streaming. Here you go. Here's the raid message. I'm stupid. My brain cells are already gone. See you guys later. Have a great Sunday. And bye bye. Let's go.